Do I just hit refresh? Yeah, hold on. Here we go. Whoa.
There, you got it. Look at that.
Huh. I'll be darned.
I'm not kidding you. Yesterday, we're towards the end of the show doing a segment, and on Get Up, they are breaking down, like they're showing LeBron highlight after LeBron highlight.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Is that as we did our Bronny segment?
We did it the next segment, and I'm like, I can't believe you just did this to me.
We took the plunge.
But that's it, though. You know.
Yeah.
Baby Jules. Always nice to be back. Although I do feel like a visitor. Ambient with a yo this morning.
Yo.
Yo. Does yo, yo, yo lead to a hey, hey, hey? Which dates myself just a touch. Thank you, Paul. I do as well. Got the big scan today where they light you up on the inside. And you want it to be dark.
You don't want to light up.
Right. If you light up, that's not good. And I'm fasting, so I'll probably get more ornery.
Hey, the Beasley Employee Handbook. Exit interview. I didn't get one of those.
Oh, I didn't either.
We could.
Should we do it live on the air? Do our exit interview now? You can date yours June 2016. I can date mine January 2017.
That's how far apart it was?
Yeah. They didn't renew his contract. And
you put up with it for another...
I really wanted to quit. And Mark actually was the one that said, hey, you need to do what
you got a wife and child.
Right. I had a kid in college.
He's, everybody's yelling at him for abandoning me. And I'm the one saying, you got to keep the job. You can't.
And Julie and I looked right at her. I said, I think I'm done. And she looked at me like, we got a daughter midway through college. I'm like, yeah, I can't do this.
Acknowledgement. There it is. Acknowledgement. This is what I was looking for. I acknowledge that I do drugs and alcohol.
Check all the boxes you're not supposed to.
Here we go.
Hey.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this, 14 weeks today. The NFL season gets underway. Magic numbers are 86, 93, and 98. How the heck are you? We're Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Does it sound louder with me now 3 feet away from you?
A lot louder. I love it. I love it. Even you see Trent got a smile on his face getting that live and in person. The short timer that he is.
Right. And Miller and Moulton in the same studio, which happens 2, 3, 4 times a year, depending on how many times I need to return to Southwest Florida, usually for some medical scans. We got full testing today. I'm fasting right now. I'm warning the both of you. I am going to get more ornery every segment.
Do they know when they tell you to fast what it does to other people?
So I called them last week and said, listen, I got an appointment, blah, blah, blah. And they confirmed, yeah, actually you do. I'm like, well, that's good. And so do I need to make any preps, dietary? Do I need to fast? No. Oh, good. So I don't need to eat like a high protein thing the 24 hours before. No, I called them. I asked. I get a phone call yesterday. I'm on I-75 heading south. All right. I don't know. I think I'm south of Tampa, between Tampa and Bradenton. I'm heading to Southwest Florida, obviously. And guy calls me, very nice guy. All right. And he, just confirming the appointment. Well, first off, they had different times. I'm a zip in, zip out. They said, oh, no, we're doing the full, we're putting the car up on the rack and, no, we're doing everything. Oh, snap. When's the last time we did that? It's been a few years. Okay. All right. By the way, this sounds a little more costly than like the $50 thing. They said, oh, yeah, add a zero. Oh, well, good. That's good.
Good
right?
to know.
Right. Okay. And then the guy says, listen, you need to do a high protein diet today. Well, first off, it's 2:30 in the afternoon when we're talking. He doesn't know, but I mean, we're up at 4:30. I mean, that's 10 hours. You can't tell me at 2:30 in the afternoon that today's a day that you have to eat healthy. Do you know how much food I've consumed?
Oh, I do.
In 10 hours?
Yeah. I mean, just during the show, I know what you take down.
Right. Then I'm getting on the road. I'm driving 350 miles.
And what's driving without a snack, or in your case, a snack and maybe a meal?
I grabbed a snack before I got on the highway. Now I'm 4 hours into this trip. I literally had just gassed up. And as he's saying, you need to eat a high protein diet for the rest of the day, I have a sub and a bag of Doritos in the front seat of the car. And so I just said to him, I go, yeah, it's too late for that, bud. Well, he goes, what do you mean? I go, you can't tell me at 2:30 in the afternoon. I said, hold on a second. And I crunched a Dorito on the phone for him. And I go, just to let you know, I mean, today is lost. And he goes, well, for the rest of the day and tonight and what have you. And I go, yeah, unfortunately, I have a 5:30 reservation at the best Italian restaurant I know. I go, and I'm not going there for grilled chicken or fish. I could, but just to let you know, I'm not. And he's like, well, that could cause a problem. And I go, no, actually it won't. I go, I haven't eaten well for 58 years. Okay. Trust me. It'll be fine. I said, besides, once you guys take my money, ball game over.
I love the fact that you very well could have the rest of the day.
Absolutely. I could have.
And you just completely said, I'm not doing it.
Well, no, it defeats the purpose. I know how badly I ate yesterday by 2:30. So to stop now and go, oh, well, here we are at the restaurant. What would you like? I would like, do you have a piece of fish? That would really interest me. I literally said to the guy on the phone, why do I have to eat well? I said, we're not testing for sugar. We're testing for cancer. Cancer. Not sugar. Cancer.
Well, it's also a mindset thing, right? Because if you knew going into the day that you had to eat
Totally.
healthy, you could
Yes,
start fresh.
I would have started in the morning.
Right.
Right.
But at 2:30, at
No.
that point, you've already set the tone for the day.
And yes, I would have had it in my head that I'm going to go to this restaurant, okay, meet a friend, but I'm going to eat well. I'll have the fish. Okay, I will. I would have had it in my head, but not by 2:30. No. I already know what I'm ordering. No. We're going to have the eggplant appetizer. We're going to have lasagna. No.
How was everything?
It was good.
Good to hear.
Yeah. But I will say, I thought I heard a chuckle when I said we're not testing for sugar, we're testing for cancer.
I hope
Okay.
he did, because you did a lot better than the Mets pitcher. You didn't throw your glove out the window.
Exactly.
You handled this with class and dignity. You just told the guy the truth.
Right.
Well, also think about that guy and his job and how little excitement he gets throughout the day. I mean, I'm sure he got a great laugh out of what you said.
Sure, he hung up the phone and he said, usually the phone calls don't go like this. Usually when you say eat well, they go, okay, this guy literally, he was eating Doritos in my ear.
Sir, that was a Dorito.
That's what I said. I said, by the way, just so you know, that's the sound of a Dorito. I go, it ain't happening today.
I will say the crunching of the Dorito is similar to the relief pitcher throwing the glove in the crowd.
I don't know. I thought I had a good disposition, though.
After that, it sounded like you had a great disposition. But your first reaction is, after he says to eat well, is to take a Dorito and crunch it into the phone.
I literally, as he's saying it, had reached into the bag and grabbed the Dorito. So I stopped for a couple seconds. I waited for him to finish his line, timing. And I said, hold on 1 second, sir. I go, just so you know, that's not celery. That's Doritos.
What flavor?
The Cool Ranch there, the blue bag.
The blue bag?
Yeah.
You're a Cool Ranch guy?
I go back and forth.
Between the original and the Cool Ranch?
Yes. It's like when you order nuggets and they go, what flavor? And sometimes I'm barbecue. Oh, I'm sorry, you haven't ordered nuggets. All right. Oh, come on. You've never given your daughter nuggets? No, you haven't. So anyway, those of us who have had, nuggets, once again, fine eating before the exam. Sometimes I, get barbecue. Sometimes I get honey mustard. My latest thing is, hey, can I have one of each? And you could tell some people are like, yeah, sure. And others are like, seriously, I got this Yahoo. He wants one of each. Because, that's typing in, two different things instead of just one. Right. It's, hey, a lot of pressure. I know, a lot of stress. We all have it.
When I get McDonald's, I order in the app, and then you go park, and they bring it out to you. Lately, they've been doing this thing where they bring out this carrier along with your food full of sauce. So you can take more than the two that they give you for free. You just ask for it.
I get a kick out of, are you going to be using your app today? I laugh every single time. Okay. Are you going to be using your app today? No, I'm in the drive-thru. No.
Yeah, in fact, I'm on X right now as I talk to you to scroll to see if anything's happened in the last 30 minutes while I've been gone.
Yes.
I use one app. I use the New York Post and I use X, and that's about it.
Right. Or am I using an app today? Yes, I am. It's voice activated. I'd like a number 3. Supersized. Yeah. So anyway. So I'm just warning the both of you.
Are you prepared for where you're going after the test to eat? Do you already have the lineup?
1:00. Yeah, I've already lined it up. Totally. Mm-hmm. And I've warned the person that I'm dining with, just so you know, I will not have had food for about 18 hours. So this could be, you've seen me eat before, but you haven't seen me fully graze in a while. And we will be grazing the countryside at 1:00 this afternoon.
Good for you.
Yes. I mean, I know you're not supposed to order it at the same time, but this could be one of those deals in which I order 2 full meals. I'll take a number 3 and a number 5. And they look at you and go, I would like a 3 and a 5. And you can bring them at the same time too. Really, it's fine. Don't worry. The number 3 is not going to last that long. Number 5 will still be warm.
I like that, your restaurant choices are places you can order by number.
Actually,
he paints by number and orders by number, kids.
How many times have you gone and ordered your number and they changed it and you didn't realize it till you got the food?
Trent, you're talking to like an Ivy League educated fast food guy here. I mean, honestly, I'll put myself in the top 1% in the country on fast food. I really will. I don't think very highly of myself about a lot of things, but I will take on all comers with fast food. I have the clogged arteries, I think, to prove it.
We'll find out in a few hours.
We sure will. No. We're testing for cancer. Cancer, not that. What do we need the defibrillators for? I hope the wife's not listening.
Well, at this point, what's she going to do?
Well,
she's 350 miles away.
That's true. If the phone blows up, she's listening.
Your mother's just nodding while she listens. Yeah, I wish he ate better, but this is with the lot that I gave him.
It just was pointed out in the Twitch chat room. The supersized guy just died. Yeah, he did at 53. Hey, I've already got 5 years on him.
I got nothing for that. I've got nothing for that.
Well, here, you know what's exciting? We already have our poll question done. All you have to do is change one word.
That's right. Didn't even have to talk about it.
Yep. Yesterday, we went with who's the best commissioner in sports.
Who won?
I believe Goodell.
I believe the Hammer at around 40%.
What's going to be interesting if he wins worst commissioner as well.
That's like back in the day when Howard Cosell won favorite sportscaster and most despised sportscaster.
Right.
I guess two things can be true. He could win both. I don't know. If people are motivated to vote.
Miller and Moulton. On this Thursday, magic numbers 86, 93, and 98. 86 days, the Florida State, Georgia Tech, and Dublin. 93 until the first Saturday of the college football season. And 14 weeks tonight, Chiefs and Ravens.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence.
Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. You know, and I'm very happy. But Greg Swain, who said he was going to die about 6 months ago, still tweeting like a son of a bitch.
Is he? He's in hospice.
So as far as this whole NCAA paying of players thing, I'm reading that NIL is still alive and well with that.
It is.
So
players can make
double
side
dip.
deals. Yes. And so and schools apparently are also going to double dip because, yes. So in theory, schools will pay, 20 or so million, and then they can encourage the athletes to go get more.
It doesn't really help anything.
I'm sure it does either. But
I mean, for what it's worth. All right. Got that done. Only 19 minutes late.
well, ambient, the best thing. By the way, is it Alcaraz?
Yeah, the tennis guy.
Alcaraz, but
Yeah.
I mean in terms of how you pronounce his
Alcaraz,
last
yeah.
name. The best thing he has going for him is that the old guard is all but gone. I mean, so if somebody could start beating their own, they could rattle off a bunch of them here.
I am a Medvedev guy. I hope he kind of.
He's the bad boy, right?
Yeah.
Nobody likes him.
Right.
Figures. Well, you liked Rodman, so I mean, that makes sense.
Tracks.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Hope your week is going well. Hey, it's Thursday. I know for many of us, it's just our third day working this week, but you can already begin to see the finish line as we make the turn for home. 86, 93, and 98 are the football magic numbers for week 0, week 1 of the college football season. 86 and 93 days and 14 weeks tonight. Little Ravens Chiefs. I'm still surprised they started with Baltimore. I mean, it worked fine with Detroit last year. We all watched. I mean, I really thought it was going to be Tampa Bay. I mean, Detroit,
That you'd give them more of a B-list
yeah,
opponent because it's the NFL, it's the first game, and they're going to watch no matter what.
Yeah, we're going to be foaming at the mouth like a bulldog. Yeah, absolutely.
Think about this from the Ravens' perspective, too. They lose that heartbreaker, and then the very next football game they play, they have to watch the Chiefs raise the banner. I mean, that sucks.
No, I actually think if I'm John Harbaugh, I love it.
Well,
I
I'm sure he
absolutely
does,
love it.
but I just the fans.
Absolutely love it. In fact, there's a part of me that wants the team to be on the field. Here. Does this hurt?
Let's go watch.
It just, yeah. Yep. Let it sink in
And
some more.
even if they're not on the field, you're going to let them know. No, we don't get to go on the field until 8:22 because they got to raise that banner.
Mm-hmm. Like there was a famous, at least to me, it's etched in my mind, the one time the Bills during this run got to the AFC Championship game. I believe it was the 2020 season. And Chiefs beat them by a couple touchdowns in the AFC title game, and Diggs stayed on the field. All the other Bills had, walked on into the locker room, and the Chiefs are celebrating going back to the Super Bowl again, and Diggs is standing there like the 40-yard line, hands on his hips, just watching it.
Yeah, there's that shot of
from behind him.
From behind.
Right. And, now they didn't get over that hump, obviously. They were 13 seconds away the next year, but didn't get over it. And so, but I'm just surprised because the Lions were coming off a 9-8 season. They finished strong, won 8 out of 10, but they missed the playoffs. But we thought they were, a pretty good to good team. And they gave them the opener. Well, Tampa Bay won the division at 9-8, won a playoff game. I just thought it was the Baker Mayfield, just that's enough.
There's a little bit bit there.
Yeah, they've made the playoffs 4 straight years. I mean, it's that's enough. That's a solid. That's not the prime rib. Okay, but that's a good piece of fish, isn't it?
I was going to say, that's a sirloin. It's not a ribeye. It's not a fillet. It's not a New York strip. But you know what? There you go. You're not going to be unhappy with the piece of meat that I give you.
No, you give me a baked potato and butter. Okay, with the Tampa Bay Bucks, I would have been fine.
Are we going to get food references the entire show?
Well,
I'm going to try.
I'm starving.
I'm going to try. I mean, the Twitch chat room, somebody in the Twitch chat room was, if I'd known David was in town, I'd have brought venison tenderloin. I've been here for 3 damn years. What in the absolute hell?
Yeah, really. You can drop it off for Mark. He will eat it. He'll even eat my share. He might videotape it and send it to me and say, by the way, David, your part of this was great. So anyway, 98 days away. Hey, so apparently this Mets reliever who kind of lost it yesterday, I guess they're going to cut him.
Yeah.
Do you think that's an overreaction? Doesn't this go back to the conversation we always have? Do you have to fire somebody? You can't just suspend them? Yeah, he lost his mind. Okay. You got it. He gave up a run. Dodgers are pounding him some more. And, he argues a, check swing call with the third base umpire, gets ejected. And then walk into the stands, he throws his glove.
Yeah, well, did you see what he said post-game as well?
Well, I mean, he did refer to the Mets as the worst team probably in the whole blanking MLB.
Yeah, I mean, that's
in a post-game interview.
I have to admit, I missed that quote.
Yeah, that's a big part of the pie here.
Huh.
He called them the worst team in probably the whole MLB.
Right.
Also, he's referring to the Mets. He's referring to them as if he's not a part of them.
Right.
I mean, did they already tell him they were releasing him? Maybe
they did.
And English is his second language. They asked him a second time,
right,
okay, to clarify what he meant. Worst team in the whole blanking MLB. Lopez said, yeah, probably. It looked like it.
Okay. We suck. We know we suck. But you don't have to pile on, for goodness sakes. You're part of the reason we suck.
And if you do pile on, we're cutting you. You're out of here.
Because I have to admit, I mean, my throwing the glove, yeah, it's unprofessional. I mean, but who was the Indians pitcher? Was that Bauer?
Oh,
no, who was the Indians pitcher who threw the ball from the mound? Remember
Bauer.
I thought it was
Trevor Bauer.
Right.
Threw it to center field, right?
Into the stands
Yeah.
from the mound. Francona's coming out for a pitching change, and in frustration, Bauer turns and just hurls that sucker, over 100 yards. Okay, because he's obviously 60 feet away. It's well over 360 to the right center field wall, and he throws it in the stands. He chucked that sucker about 400 feet. Francona's like, you unprofessional blankety blank. I know they suspended him, but
How many times has the ejection cut combo happen?
You know what? That might be a first. I'm sure someone will find another one out there. But get ejected and cut, or designated for assignment, is what he was officially released on.
I have to admit, I thought he pitched okay compared to the rest of the bullpen this year. But oh well.
I'm picking him up. I'm picking him up on waivers. I'm bringing him right in. First thing I'm saying is, hey, we are not as bad as the Mets.
Right.
We may suck,
but not like them. Right. Apparently they had a team meeting afterwards.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Have it now.
Players only?
Yep. Players only. Yep. We'll say the most expensive guy called the meeting. Lindor called it. So, he's the one who got paid. Although, actually, they're all getting paid. It's the highest payroll in baseball. Look, don't you think? This is one of those times where, we're fans. So what do we know? Well, come on now. You give us $300 million. We can put together a better ball club than that, can't we? $300 million.
Well,
$300 million.
You got Diaz, who was the best closer in baseball before he got hurt. He can't get anybody out.
And now he's on the injured list,
but
right?
Before that,
he's had a month where he's thrown batting practice, correct?
And admitted so.
Yeah, right.
My confidence is shot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, you're a closer.
Good.
Such a shame, too, because he's got the best walkout routine that I've ever seen. Even better than
Here's
Mariano.
The thing, also, say he gets it together again. Can you bring back that walk-up music?
Oh, yeah.
You can? So if he gets it back together again, you can bring back the
trumpets?
Okay.
I would almost have that as a prerequisite. You have to get your blank together, then you can bring the walk-up music back.
As he's rehabbing in the minors, or are you playing that? When he's pitching in the empty stadium to, designated single-A guys, are you playing the trumpets?
I might, just to get his confidence back, tell him, I don't want you throwing any pitches. I'm going to have you just come from the dugout to the mound 6 times. Listen to the music.
What are you, Jim Valvano? We're practicing cutting down the nets?
That's right. Want you to get that confidence back.
That's a great reference you just made. Jimmy V.
At some major league team in the last couple of years practiced winning the World Series. I forget which one. They practiced celebrating, throwing their gloves up in the air. They thought they had closed the stadium and there was no media, but there was somebody with a camera out to the side, and there's the team throwing their gloves up in the air, celebrating winning the World Series.
Manifestation. Hey, John Harbaugh and the Ravens are going to practice raising the banner by default.
Should practice a passing game. Did I just say that out loud?
Yeah, you did.
All right, starting 5's next.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
The gift of a natural diamond began its journey 3 billion years ago. Far before it met you, its home is over 100 miles deep within the earth. A natural diamond is the oldest artifact you will ever touch, and each is one of a kind, much like what it symbolizes in your life. Jason and Todd at the Diamond District would like to meet you personally and share their love of natural diamonds and the positive impact of purchasing a natural diamond. Did you know that your natural diamond helps support the livelihood of millions of people worldwide and that it saves animals from extinction? We promise that in our vault sits the largest selection of GIA-certified natural diamonds at the most competitive prices in the world. We won't need to make calls to find you one. Jason and Todd truly care about you, their community, and the communities worldwide whose healthcare, education, and critical infrastructure benefit from natural diamonds. Jason and Todd look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to their Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your
Not know. I said something close to the S word.
I didn't think so either. Oh, look at this. Live Sports Center interview. Wow.
Yeah. Desperate times.
Pumping it hard.
Hershey Park opens today for the
Ooh.
exclusive use of its employees. Originally. Didn't make the cut. There we go. There's something relevant.
Morning, Realtor Clark. E.B. Hill, Trent is going to try to sell some advertising, and then he's going to host a show back in Lansing, Michigan. That's what he's going to try to do. We'll see if he can pull it off.
Won't make the cut, but I like this one, David. The Cubs and Cardinals trade outfielders between morning and afternoon games of a doubleheader.
Love it.
Max Flack goes to St. Louis. Cliff Heathcote goes to Chicago, and both gets hits for the new club in the nightcap.
Love it. It's like Joel Youngblood. All right, played for two different teams on the same day. Played for the Mets at Wrigley against the Cubs. Gets traded to, I think, the Expos. Made the flight out of Chicago. Shows up in like the fourth inning, and the Expos put him in the game like an inning later. I think it was in Philly. I'm only in town a couple days. Heading over Saturday morning. Buddy of mine in West Palm, spend the day with him and his wife, and then we'll go to Game 6.
Did you? I don't doubt you saw the story, but some Boston, I don't know what station, but basically kind of just started ripping Walton.
Yeah, it was.
Called him a fake hippie, and
Yeah,
I was
thought
like,
it was a guy on EEI.
I think so too, but I was like,
I didn't listen to the clip. I saw it on X and the headline, but I didn't listen to it.
I think I saw it in the Post, like or somewhere. But yeah, I was just like, that's the one you're going after.
Well, yeah. Plus, I don't know. You see 1,000 Grateful Dead shows. I don't know if you're fake.
Right. Well, and
I mean, if the
Greeny told a story of, and I can't think of it. It's an old Bulls player or that was friends with Walton, and he was telling the stories. He goes, what they partook in, and
Here we go.
It was, but
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Ron Sirek will join us 1 hour from now. We'll talk a little golf. A lot of news on men's tour, women's tour in golf. All right, Ron Sirek to join us in an hour. Brad Gillie in a little more than an hour. A lot going on in NASCAR. Got a major team shutting down. All right, there's quite a controversy going on in the sport. Should Kyle Larson get a waiver? I mean, technically, he's ineligible for the playoffs now.
Ridiculous.
I just say there are quite a few people in NASCAR that are like, listen, he chose Indy over us. Okay, this comes with the consequences.
Yeah. Okay. Guys, if you want to stay in your lane, then you can be your little niche sport. You want to grow your sport. You want to get more time on Sports Center and shows like ours all over the country. You do so by racing in multiple series. You do something different that attracts eyeballs to all of motorsports. Ridiculous to me that NASCAR is going to sign your scorecard in the assigned area here.
Wow. For somebody who's all about signing your scorecard in the assigned area. Apparently that's only for golf.
It is only for golf.
Not for NASCAR. I do think it's ironic that there are those in NASCAR that are insisting that we stick to the rules. In
NASCAR.
The sport in which if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Right.
Right. So Brad Gillie of PRN will join us in a little more than an hour. And Daniel Wallach will kick off the final hour of the show. He's been our legal expert for quite a few years, and we'll get his take on Florida sports betting. So 2 weeks today? Supreme Court going to hear, they're calling it, a discussion? Discussions. Is that like when you got called into the principal's office? Was that parent-teacher conference night when it was you and your mom and the teacher told your mom with you sitting there and they had an adult and you weren't involved in the conversation, yet it was all about you?
How I was able to get my parents to never go to those is one of the... I wouldn't bring home the forms.
Wow.
My parents both worked. I mean, your mom worked 3 jobs. My mom worked hard too. So
right.
It wasn't something she thought about. My mom was a Catholic schoolgirl where I don't know if they had parent-teacher conferences. They just had nuns that beat the kids.
It's a very one-sided discussion,
yes.
Right?
Yeah, St. Andrews, they didn't really need the parents. They just disciplined the kids however they felt necessary.
This is what we're doing. Tell your parents what we did to you. Right. Okay.
So I would just, every once in a while, what are those? Oh, it was last week. Why didn't I know about it? I left you the sheet. I just made.
Oh, look at you.
I was petrified. David, you and I both know what was going to be said by teachers at those parent-teacher conferences. Mark talks too much in class. Mark's disruptive in class.
Oh, I knew what was coming.
Yeah.
I always enjoyed the ride to parent-teacher conference in which my mom would say, I'm not going to hear da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I'd be like, you might hear some. Thinking to myself, no, actually, you're going to hear that from everybody. I'll be shocked if you don't. Maybe the look on my face will scare the teachers off if they realize, wow, if I tell her the truth, he might get a whooping. My mother's like, I want to give him a whooping right here. All right. 18 before the hour. Time now for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Hey, look at that. Charges against Scotty Scheffler were dropped.
Didn't see that coming.
Both sides agree not to sue the other. They worked out this deal because he was getting arraigned next week, so they had to do something before then. Cops still insisting he was in the right. Scheffler's attorney not speaking well, trying to walk the line here of speaking very well of the city of Louisville and the Louisville Police Department, but not that one officer. What we had here was a failure to communicate, right?
And the officer came out and went at the lawyer.
Right.
With some comments, and he's really upset about ripping his $80 pants. Apparently, the one thing I do know now is that the police issued pants in Louisville are $80.
Nice pants. NHL. So in game 3, Edmonton jumped out to a 2-0 lead, and Dallas scored 5 of the next 6 goals. In game 4, Dallas jumped out to a 2-0 lead. Edmonton scored the next 5 goals. 2 in the first to tie it. 2 goals in a 51-second span midway through the second. And it began with a shorty. And then an empty netter. Edmonton evens the Western Conference Finals against Dallas. 5-2 the final. Speaking of 2-2 in game 5s, tonight, Madison Square Garden, Panthers and Rangers. Get this, Mark. First off, 3 straight overtimes in this series. Panthers are 5-2 on the road. Rangers are 5-2 at home. Team that scores first in this series, 2-2. Although the team that scored first in the first 2 games at Madison Square Garden won them both. Teams that scored first, obviously, at Sunrise, lost both those games. NBA Game 5 tonight. Do the Mavs go back to the finals for the 3rd time in franchise history? They're up 3-1 against Minnesota. T-Wolves are a 4.5-point favorite, despite, Mark, having lost 4 of their last 5 home games. And the Mavs are 6-2 on the road in the playoffs. 8:30 TNT tonight. Everybody beginning to go, what Boston did to Miami last year, down 3-0, but they won game 4 on the road. And then, can we get a long series? People are beginning that talk. What do you like tonight, Mavs or T-Wolves? 4.5's the number.
I like the T-Wolves.
Okay. I'll say this. Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards have to play the way they did in game 4.
Absolutely.
I mean, they were both really underperforming. It's amazing, actually, that Minnesota was playing so close with Dallas with those 2 underperforming.
Because there was about, between the big 2 on each team, there was about a 20-point difference,
right?
25-point difference in scoring on a per-game basis.
Meanwhile, in the last game, Minnesota's big 2 outscored Dallas's by 10. NFL news, 49ers signed wide receiver Juwan Jennings to a 2-year deal worth a little over $15 million total, 10.5 of it guaranteed. That's going to be a sneaky good deal next year, Mark, because the likelihood is one of the top 2 wide receivers for the Niners is going to get dealt after this season, and Juwan Jennings is going to be making like $7-8 million, and he's going to be like a number 2 receiver. So that's, I think, a pretty team-friendly deal there. Kansas City defensive lineman Isaiah Buggs facing 2 misdemeanor charges of cruelty to animals. Apparently, he's got an ongoing dispute with the city of Tuscaloosa. And he's got a business there, and everybody wants to shut his business down. And he claims he's being set up here, that those dogs were not his, okay, and that somebody chained them to his porch, and he doesn't live there anymore. And they found the dogs malnourished.
The Lions cut him mid-season, and he was actually a productive player and part of the rotation. There was really no reason given, and I think it might have something to do with this.
And the Chiefs picked him up, practice squad, but then they just signed him to, a new contract. And so now Bug's in some legal hot water in Tuscaloosa. Vikings re-signed guard Dalton Reisner, He had 11 starts last year for him at guard, and he got a 1-year deal. College football, there's a report indicating beginning in 2025, not this coming season, but the following, schools are going to be able to sell advertising on the playing fields, signage, and they'll be putting patches on uniforms. I mean, if we're going to go professional here.
I'm sorry, I couldn't say anything. I just threw up in my mouth.
I understand that.
I'm just picturing Penn State and Alabama.
I know.
Penn State with the All-State logo and...
Oh, boy. And, what's the insurance that Saban is with Dion? Is
Aflac.
Aflac.
So they'll put Aflac on the Alabama. Of course, it'll clash because the colors aren't red. Yeah. I mean, you have to admit, if you're going to put something on, doesn't it have to match? Don't you have to go State Farm at least? I mean, just to have the colors be similar. Golf, U.S. Women's Open underway today. Lancaster, Pennsylvania, Lancaster Country Club, PGA Tour Canadian Open. It's ironic. Remember, 2 years ago, the Canadian Open, Rory won, passed Greg Norman on the all-time win list. Everybody was taunting Norman in the LIV, right? Last year, you had the guy with the 75-foot eagle putt, the Canadian, to win the Canadian Open. But it was also at the Canadian Open last year that they announced the PIF deal. Right. So a year later,
that's when everybody's freaking out, and the meetings, and Monahan had to be brought in. And
And so now we're back at the Canadian Open. Rory did his presser yesterday in which he said, I have to admit, I wish 2 years ago I had just done nothing. He has total buyer's remorse. He goes, I wish I had just stayed totally out of it. And he's hoping for a world tour. He goes, I got nothing against the LIV guys anymore. Nothing at all. He goes, and I think we should all be playing.
Well, he changes his mind a lot.
He does.
From women to golf, it really doesn't matter.
I was wondering if you were going to go there.
You're damn right I'm going there.
So apparently 2 weeks ago when he won at Wells Fargo, he had paid somebody. Apparently, if she was watching on television a couple hours after he won, that's when the paper showed up. They knocked on the door Sunday night and served her with divorce. So there you go. Baseball, Jose Siri with the game-winning single in the ninth. Rays over the A's, 4-3. Marlins had 16 hits yesterday, impounding the Padres 9-1. Our system worked. Tigers 8-0 in the first game. Trent was all like, I don't know if we can bet against them. They look so good in the first game.
They look so good.
They won 8-0.
They look like the 84 Tigers.
What was the score of the second game?
10-2 Pittsburgh. I believe 11 doubleheaders this year in Major League Baseball. We've had 8 splits. That's get your bets in. You bet on a split. Phillies snap a 3-game skid, 6-1 over the Giants. Phillies gain a game on the Braves, who lost to the Nats 7-2. Atlanta's now 6 back. Dodgers hit 4 homers. Ohtani had one of them in 3 RBIs, 10-3 over the reeling Mets. So the Brewers beat the Cubs 10-6. Brewers hit 3 homers. They have a 4.5-game lead over both the Cubs and the Cardinals, who have plugged along these last 6 weeks and gotten back to 500. Cubs and Cards are both 500. They're 4.5 back of the Brewers. Cards beat our Reds 5-3. Yankees, Anthony Volpe's got a 21-game hitting streak. They beat the Angels 2-1. Orioles 6-1 over the Red Sox. Gunnar Henderson with a slam. Jays 3-1 over the White Sox. 6 pitchers combined on the 4-hitter for Toronto. 6. Royals 6-1 over the Twins. Nelson Velasquez with 2 home runs. Seth Lugo won his 9th game of the year already.
The Royals are just, I was trying to see if there's a team that's outperforming their expectations more than the Royals this year.
I don't think so.
I don't either.
I don't. In fact, I don't think there's anybody close. There are teams that are underperforming their expectations by wide margins, but nobody is over. I will say this, Cleveland was expected to contend.
Well,
the Guardians
is Cleveland the other choice?
Right. but the Guardians are crushing it. And speaking of the Guardians, they lost to the Rockies 7-4 as Colorado scored 6 in the second inning. So Texas beat Arizona 6-1. World Series rematch. Rangers swept that 3-game series. Corey Seager has homered 8 homers in 8 games for Corey Seager. I'd say he's hot. And Seattle and Houston. Remember, Houston made up all that ground. They got to within like 3.5 of the Mariners. Yeah, Mariners have won 3 straight in this series. They were held to just 4 hits, but they won 2-1 in 10. For Trent here, the French Open. Osaka, coming back from pregnancy, nearly took out the top seed Swiatek. She had a match point, lost 7-5 in the third. Coco Gauff advances to the third round. All the top seeds on the men's side advance. For what it's worth, 39-year-old Stan Wawrinka, who won the French 9 years ago, lost in 4 sets, probably his swan song in Paris. And as we approach 7 minutes before the hour, that was
the Starting Five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
I'll be thinking of your dad tonight. Super regionals in softball. Man, he loved his college softball.
Loved it. Loved everything about it. Loved the antics in the dugouts by the girls, the chants, the rally caps, anything they did, he would be locked in.
Didn't that always amaze you? Your crusty old man loved the dugout antics in softball.
Thought they had more fun than any other athletes on the planet when they were playing. That was his philosophy. He thought that they were having a lot of fun, and he always enjoyed that. Get off my lawn, guys. Sometimes can find something that he likes. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the
answer him back and go, sure, who's going to pay for it?
Yeah, what are the Everblades going to threaten to leave?
Right. Also, when you're getting the crowds that they're getting, it is remarkable. Because it's not like it's cheap. It is not cheap to go to a Blades game.
Not anymore.
Yeah, John just spent $400 yesterday on Blades playoff tickets. And he only bought 2 for all 3 games. But he's buying, apparently he's like, he's sitting like first row center. But
look at the fact that he's spending that kind of money. It's one of,
I know. I was all over him on the phone. I go, I don't know who you are anymore. Kilo Stad, you sure you shouldn't go out and get the A's closer? If I'm the Orioles, I'm going getting that. What's it, Mason Miller or whatever his name is in Oakland? I'm going and getting him. Anything interesting on the text line?
No. The Bryant Denny Dukes Mayo Stadium at Alabama.
That funny. That funny. Okay. We could have some fun with this. The Bucky Swamp.
Right.
How old's your boy, Realtor Clark? Must have been out partying this week. You know how those 7-year-olds can be. 4. Is he done with school? What's it? Last day? Is Collier County today and Lee County tomorrow?
Tomorrow's the last day for Lee. I don't know what Collier is. Of course, it's 2 early dismissal days, too. And early dismissal means there's no after school care, so you've got to pick your kid up.
Right, or else.
At noon.
Right. Or else
I mean, 2-parent households.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's a cluster.
I can imagine.
And I get there. I'm one of those that gets there really early.
Oh, okay.
Well, what else do I got to do?
Well, where are you going to go?
Where are you going to go?
It's a rat race. At the end of the day.
Well, that means beginning next week, traffic will be very different.
Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for being with us. Ron Sirek. We'll talk a little golf, whether it be Scheffler, whether it be Lexi Thompson retiring, whether it be Nelly Corda. Winning all these tournaments is nice. Throw a little U.S. Women's Open up on the shelf, and hello. So a lot to talk with Ron Sirek about in about 35 minutes time. Brad Gillie in an hour. So, I mean, he did violate the rule, Kyle Larson.
Yep, he did.
The rule. Now, I don't like the rule. And I guess you can get a waiver and exemption, but he didn't race. And since they shortened the race too, I mean, he didn't even get on the track. Here's what I don't understand. If a guy gets injured and misses a few races, he can still participate in the playoffs if he's won a game. I think if guys get suspended and miss a few races, they can still participate in the playoffs. I don't know. We'll talk to Brad Gillie in an hour. This whole whether or not Kyle Larson should get a waiver.
Yeah, it's really, should he get one? And,
Yeah.
and if not, why?
Yeah.
Is what I'm most curious about. Is if Brad feels that he shouldn't get one, you got to explain to me why.
Also, what's funny is the loudest guy against him getting a waiver is Joey Logano. Do you know who owns Joey Logano's car? Roger Penske. I mean, come on now.
I mean, isn't this like, to me, an NHL player plays in the Olympics, but then he can't play in the Stanley Cup playoffs?
I guess. I don't know. But anyway, it's a big, never mind the fact that Stewart Haas Racing is folding. There are literally 4 teams that are up for bid. Apparently those 40 to 50 million it costs to buy one of those. What do they call it? Charters. 40 to 50 million is what those charters cost. I guess the last one that was available, somebody paid 40 for it. So Brad Gillie in an hour, Daniel Wallach in 2 hours, talking about the Supreme Court in a couple of weeks beginning to take up, for how long we don't know, the Florida gaming compact. Baseball past the 1/3 point. Curious, is there a team not in the playoffs right now that you're willing to put my $20 on and say they'll be in the playoffs at the end of the day? And right now, if the playoffs, I don't have the standings in front of me, but obviously Yankees, Orioles, Royals, Guardians, and Mariners. Those 5 are guaranteed. Would it be the Twins?
Well, it would, to me, the easy one here is to pick the Cubs or the Cardinals. And I say that because you've got the Phillies and the Braves that are,
they're done.
They're done. You got the Dodgers that are done.
Right.
You've got right now the other 2 wild card teams are the Giants and Padres that are both 1 game over 500. The Cubs and Cardinals are at 500. So if I would take a National League team.
So you'd put your $20 on one of those National League teams to only have to make up a game.
Yes.
Well, but I think the Twins right now hold down the 6th seed in the American League, don't they? It's 3 teams out of the Central.
Yes.
And you got the 2 in the AL East, and you got Seattle right now because the whole rest of the AL West is below 500.
That's correct. So maybe the Rangers, if you think they're going to get their act together,
or Astros, or what about Rays?
Or the Rays,
right? About right. How many? What are they, about 3 games behind the Twins?
Yeah, the 2 games below 500 right now.
Yeah. So I'm just curious, though. You know, we've been saying Memorial Day and just take a snapshot of the standings. And right now in the National League, it would be Phillies, Braves, it would be Brewers, it would be Dodgers, and then it's both Padres, Giants
for the moment,
because they're a game above 500, while the Cardinals, Cubs are 500.
That is correct.
And so then make your plans accordingly.
I mean, the one thing about the Rays is that they're going to get better.
Right, because they're going to get healthier.
Right.
Start to get some reinforcements here.
I mean, of all the teams that we're talking about, and I don't have I don't spend a lot of time on the Cardinals lineup and who's in and out of it. But we know the Rays are getting really good pitching back at some point. Really good pitching. Now, how they'll be able to adjust popping right into the lineup, will they be able to pick up where they left off? We don't know.
Well, Texas is also an interesting one because in theory, they could get both Scherzer and DeGrom in the second half of the year. I mean, Scherzer's, I think, begun his rehab, and DeGrom, they're hoping July, August.
But for how long for DeGrom? Will he pitch a week, 2 weeks, or the rest of the season?
Well, that could be perfect to get, DeGrom back for August 1st. That could be absolutely perfect. That's maybe all he has in him in any given season going forward. Fortunately, that deal after this year has only got like 4 more years to go at like nearly, 35 or so million a season. I mean, it's no big deal or anything. But Miller and Moulton on this Thursday, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Is tonight the series Rangers Panthers?
No, game 4 was. I told you the winner of game 4 was winning the series.
Okay, so
it's over.
So it's over. The Panthers
are winning the series.
Well,
they may win it in 6.
I do think the Panthers are winning the series. I thought that before the series. I thought that even going into game 4. I said I would still bet on the Panthers winning the series. They've been the better team.
Hockey wants the Rangers and Edmonton to win.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
Best player, biggest market.
Yes. One of the rare times that the NHL would want a Canadian team over a top 10 American market.
To get McDavid against the Rangers.
Plus the connected history between the two franchises. Messier, Gretzky, even Lowe, Anderson, Tikkanen, all played for the Rangers. Obviously, all part of the Edmonton dynasty.
That would be sexy.
If you're ESPN, by the way, and you get that final, because Messier is your big studio analyst. Gretzky is TNT's big studio analyst. If you're ESPN, though, do you call up Turner?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, and Wayne, who will do, even though Wayne in the NHL butted heads there for, 10 or so years. I mean, Gretzky and Bettman are not tight. I mean, Wayne felt wronged with the whole Phoenix situation, and we all know the league has been basically running the Phoenix franchise for a long time. And so, I mean, Gretzky didn't do things for the NHL for quite a while. Gretzky was owed money, okay, the whole deal. But
too busy having work done. Holy cow. Get some more Botox, Wayne.
I know. I even think his wife is going, hey,
oh, no.
Enough.
No, they're competing.
Oh, okay.
If you see any recent pictures of her,
gotcha.
She spends as much time in those spa clinics as maybe they have a package. A buy one, get one. I don't know.
I will say he's telling some really good stories, though. He's loosening up.
Finally.
Yep. He's loosening up. It's a year 3, and he's starting to get this TV thing down. He's just telling stories. And he's got a lot of them.
He really does.
And that's what he's adding to the equation. And it's good. It's working. But do you call Turner and say, hey, can we borrow the guy? I mean, come on. If Edmonton goes back to the Stanley Cup Finals, if you're the NHL, don't you have to have Gretzky somehow, some way on TV?
Yes.
Even though
Edmonton,
even though Messier stayed longer, and because Gretzky got traded and they won their 5th cup with Messier as the captain. Okay, but come on, Wayne Gretzky, recognized as the greatest player in the history of the game, and remembered as an Oiler. You got to have him. I mean, it's kind of like if the Lakers and the Celtics play in a finals. Don't you have to call up both Magic and Larry and go, listen, I don't know what you're doing, but is there any way we can get you even for one game?
Blank check.
Yeah, I mean, well, and it's just not we'll pick you up, private jet, the whole deal. Can you change some plans? I mean, come on. It's like your Celtics. You guys are kind of a big deal. Magic, of course, is calling the league. I mean, he's not even waiting for the league to call them. It's just being able to, call Bird and get him to do it. Magic's probably calling Larry. Listen, I know you don't want to do this, but come on. Let's go.
It'll be fun.
It'll
really.
Be great. It'll be fun. It'll be like when I went to French Lick in the summer '85. No, we'll have a ball. You can drive the tractor. All right. It'll be good.
Now, I still don't think Edmonton's winning that series. I just think it would be better for hockey. You can't have goaltending that's that suspect to me and win a conference final.
It would be amazing. You and I were talking during the break. We're into hockey. We have followed hockey all of our lives. I mean, you and I have been into this sport since we were grade school. This would be a team in the Stanley Cup Finals. I cannot remember a goalie who's worse than Skinner of Edmonton, and they're 2 wins away from the finals. Now, there have been mediocre goalies who get on a bit of a roll in the playoffs. He was better in the regular season than he's been in the playoffs. They're winning in spite of their goaltending.
They're actually, I mean, they dominated last night. The shots were very one-sided once again. I think he only made 22 saves.
That first shot, I did feel badly for Skinner. He's under Stuart Skinner's, the Edmonton goalie. He's under all this, heat because the goal he let in, which was the game-winning goal in Game 3, was a soft one. You just can't let that in. And first shot of the game is Dallas's best forward on a roll, and he snipes it top shelf, glove side. No goalie's making that save. I felt badly for him. First shot of the game, we're a minute in, it's a goal. I got, oh man, poor guy. Didn't get one in the middle of his bread basket he could just, receive and hold on to.
By the way, where do you put the Edmonton anthem as far as opens?
Oh, it's really good. It's really good.
I mean, you could tell the shots of the bench. The players are just, even the players, I think, get even a little more amped up on that one.
And I have to admit, I'd love a Canadian team in the final. I love both anthems.
Oh, I know.
Because also they show them both.
Which I don't get. I mean, that's a lot of minutes of TV.
I know.
That you're putting the anthem on. I'm surprised that they do that.
But, they're embracing their heritage. Listen, it's not like you're going to get negative reaction from the fan bases.
No.
I mean, what fan base doesn't like an anthem?
Unless it's a bad anthem.
Well, we could debate that next.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When you enter the Diamond District, you will quickly discover what makes Jason and Todd so unique to Southwest Florida. They're in the store nearly every day, and along with their team, offering a warm, caring, and personal connection. One where every moment is an invitation to elegance and sophistication. Within the walls of the Diamond District, you'll find many of America's top jewelry designers who have chosen the Diamond District as their authorized representative in Southwest Florida. Takori, Fana, H. Affy, Veragio, Christopher Designs, Shy Creations, Henri Dossi, all names synonymous with excellence and designed in the U.S. and all proudly showcased at the Diamond District. Jason and Todd look forward to sharing the stories behind these notable partnerships with you. Discover the meticulous craftsmanship and unparalleled beauty that define each piece of jewelry as you embark on a journey of timeless elegance. Jason and Todd look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to their Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour funny. And she said, might help me get out of here. And I'm like, we need a regional salesperson. I go, probably get you, I go, it would be commission only. I go, but it'd probably be 30%. She's like, really?
Hell, they were 40%.
By the way, did you hear from that other dude this week? Guy that said he was going to contact you after Memorial Day?
No, but we've been doing the email thing. We're going to talk next week.
Okay. Because I actually heard from Marty yesterday.
I texted him yesterday.
I did too.
I texted him and said, we're losing Trent and, you're going to take over. Okay. And I said to him, okay. And so, he'll, his invoices will now, the extra money goes to Mark. Okay. Marty brought up, okay, possibly, bringing Trent back and having him do it from Michigan. And I'm like, well, we'll see.
He called me about that yesterday.
It's impossible.
Right. He's got a job.
No, the other thing we talked about is possible of you doing that from here, but you can't produce this show from Michigan. I just don't see how that's a possibility.
It would involve equipment at the very least.
Mhm.
Who, obviously we're not providing it, so
Right.
it would have to be provided by the Michigan Sports Network. But the other thing that I've said to Trent is it takes you off the street. You ain't doing anything for the other thing till 10:30. Now, if you've got 6-8 clients in which all you're doing is renewals, hell,
Smoke them if you got
you
them.
could do this and have a nice late breakfast and just,
So Dan Skipper, the Lions tackle, that was the guy who didn't
try to
report.
check,
Yeah.
right, report.
He had a kid. So like another kid, he's got like 3 kids, but the Lions posted, congratulations to Skipper, whatever. And the top reply is someone saying, why is this a picture of Taylor Decker on the, because he's the, I don't know, kind of funny. Took me a second to get it.
In Lions World.
Yeah. No one else thinks it's funny, but David, as a Giants fan, who is your least favorite NFL team? Like, which team do you hate the most?
Well, it's funny. I never hated another NFL team. Literally, the only team I've ever hated was the Islanders. Okay. The Islanders dynasty destroyed me.
Okay.
The losses were heartbreaking. Okay. Just how they were better. They were clearly better, but man, we played them so tough.
I hate the Blackhawks. I hate the Bulls. I hate the Celtics. Those are my top 3.
I loved the rivalry with the Eagles.
Okay. So,
those games, because we were both bad at the same time. Then the Eagles got good. Then we caught up. Then we were better. And I love the Eagles games.
But Cowboys
didn't hate the Cowboys. Have to admit, okay, the Redskins annoyed me.
Okay.
I didn't like the Joe Gibbs Redskins.
I never liked the Redskins. Like I never.
But
I have a lot of teams I dislike.
Like Theismann though, because he was from Jersey.
Hated Theismann. Then we get Theismann on the show. I love Theismann.
I know. He turns to me, he goes, I hated that guy growing up.
Hated him as an announcer. And then all of a sudden you get him on the air. He's one of the nicest guys. He's been so good to us over the years. And I know he's irrelevant in the sports business world now, but I mean, man, he gave us a lot of time all the time.
The funny thing about Joe is they're talking about Justin Fields returning kicks. Theismann was trying to get on the field early in his career, first with the Dolphins and then the Redskins. He returned punts, Theismann, early in his NFL career.
Paula, I hate Green Bay too. Good call.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Ron Sirek, talk a little golf. Next segment, Brad Gillie, the segment after that. Talking all the controversy going on in racing. Daniel Wallach, the top of the 9 o'clock Eastern hour. 2 weeks from today, the Supreme Court going to begin to deal with this Florida gaming compact situation. Obviously, they get the ultimate word. Are they going to just say, hey, what you have now, you're going to have forever? Or are they going to say, you know what? I'm not sure about that. maybe we should hear this case. So Daniel Wallach will join us at the top of the 9 o'clock Eastern hour for that. 21,000 is the text line. MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Our poll question, did you change the word?
I did. It was a tough poll question today.
What was yesterday's question?
Who's the best commissioner in sports?
What's today's poll question?
Who's the worst commissioner in sports?
That's how we roll. Miller and Moulton right there.
Yesterday was a bit too optimistic. So today,
got to get back to the snark.
Well, it's funny. Yesterday, best commissioner, Roger Goodell, gets 46% of the vote.
Okay.
So nearly half of you think that the football commissioner is the best commissioner in sports. Bettman finished last. Adam Silver finished second with 23% of the vote, and Manfred was third. Today, Adam Silver, who was second in best commissioner, is running away with worst commissioner in the early voting.
That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X, MillerandMoulton.com. Please vote.
But you love the NFL. I mean, you love the NFL. Because right now, worst commissioner in sport, Roger Goodell, 3.8%.
Do have to ask the question, because I voted for Adam Silver, worst commissioner. And an NBA person could say to me, dude, he's just about ready to sign the richest TV deal by far the league's ever had. Okay, what else does a commissioner have to do? And my argument is, I think if Miller and Moulton were commissioner of the NBA, we'd be getting this deal. Like David Sampson and others are giving Adam Silver the credit. And I think it's just, no, it's live sports.
Right place, right time.
It's live sports. That's the only thing that people are watching anymore. And if you're streaming, it's seemingly the thing that you can attach yourself to get more people to pay for your product than anything else. I mean, I do think we're going to look back 20 years from now, and that Chiefs-Dolphins playoff game on Peacock is what will have made everyone else go all in. There's somebody whose opinion I respect who said that was the game that got the NBA's to, because obviously Amazon was trying to get them to go all in, and the NBA was resistant to leave a cable network that they had a 35-year relationship with for a streaming service. But when they saw 23 million people, I mean, and it's you can doubt the numbers, but the numbers are right there. I mean, the Amazon could take the peak and go, here you go. Okay, it's not false. It's right here, 23 million. Okay, now, yeah, would there have been more if the game was on NBC? Sure, but 23 million. Don't tell me people aren't going to take in your product on streaming.
And the NBA is the youngest from a demographic viewership of the major sports. Certainly, I mean, it's younger than football, it's younger than baseball, and again, hockey doesn't matter. Not in this conversation.
and that's rich coming from you.
I love hockey, but it's a niche sport. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's my favorite sport. I would love that it was more popular. I fought the fight for 20 years working in minor league hockey. It's no different now than it was then.
So even if you're not going to necessarily give Silver credit for what the NBA has done, what makes you believe he's a quote-unquote bad commissioner, like the worst one in sports?
Well, here's why. Because his regular season product has become crap.
Yeah.
And, well, it's on his watch. It's on his watch. Does anybody believe this would have happened with David Stern as commissioner?
No.
Okay. So
That's
I
fair.
got to hold that against Adam Silver. I got to hold it. I mean, David Stern was commissioner for 30 years. His last year, he signed off February 1st, 2014. I mean, that's the very end of LeBron with the Heat. That's the very end of Pop and the Spurs still being,
It's preload management.
Yes. And I don't think it happens.
That to me that's why I voted. Load management, the regular season product is lousy.
But it's not for a lack of trying, I guess is my point.
Well, and Trent, I actually, doing best and worst, I think it's tough to vote on all of these. I mean, to rank them. Because you can point to the good that a lot of them do, to good and bad for each of them.
Because despite all this, though, the NBA is as big as it's ever been, right?
Financially, it is.
Yeah.
It's far bigger than it's ever been. But in terms of popular, I mean, their ratings are going down. That's tough to do in live sports right now. Their ratings are going down. That's why this whole TV thing shows to me it's not silver. It's even not the NBA. It's the power of live sports. How can you have a product that less people are taking in and get 250% more money than you've ever gotten before?
And to finish my earlier point, I do think the fact that they're the youngest demographic is why, if I'm going to go streaming, if I'm a league that's going to take the leap to go streaming, I think the NBA is the perfect league to do it because their audience is younger. They're more adapt to streaming and more comfortable with it.
I don't disagree there. I think, implementing the whole, you got to play 65 games or what is it, 70 games?
No, it's 65.
65 games to win awards. Like, he's doing his part, I feel like. It's the players.
First off, I think it was way too late. That's fair. We were 8+ years into his commissionership, and he comes up with this. You can't win any awards, of which there are financial incentives, all right, unless you play 80% of the games. Those in the Twitch chat room, a few people have nominated other commissioners. I will say, if we had put Jay Monahan on PGA Tour commissioner, where do you think he would have ranked?
Oh, he would have, that would have been the worst. And so, there's a lot of write-in votes. Yep. Dana White of the UFC. And I mean, if you were to put a commissioner out there, how right now, the commissioner of the WNBA, look at what's happened there. They've got chartered planes. They're playing in big arenas. They're getting
crowds, ratings. Sure. Best they've ever had. Yeah. She should have been on yesterday's poll question for best commissioner. Or is she just right place, right? Is she looking around going, whoo, thank goodness.
Let's get this resume ready. Time to get out of this job and get somewhere else quickly.
Got that right. And it's got to be a better gig out there in the next couple of years. Maybe I'll replace Manfred. Well, somebody has to. I mean, don't know why she'd want to, but, just saying. So that's our poll question. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X, MillerandMoulton.com. Vote accordingly. Today, it's the worst commissioner of the quote-unquote Big Four.
And now for the second to last time in the history of this show, it's Trent Bally with our Molly Maid play of the day.
We had the rare sack fly walk-off yesterday. The Seattle Mariners win a game 2-1. J.P. Crawford with a sack fly in the 10th.
Are you serious?
Go. Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yes.
The set to pitch. Swinging a fly ball. This will be enough. Plenty enough. Tucker is back in the corner. He makes the catch. Clase is racing home. It's a walk-off sacrifice fly from J.P. Crawford. He is hoisted in the air by the caveman Luke Raley at first base. And the Mariners have just won the series. They've walked off the Astros in 10.
I like the call. Aaron Goldsmith. Play of the day. Apparently, I missed something. What do you guys?
How about the shorthanded goal when it was 2-2?
It was a blowout.
First of all, it was 2-2 mid-second, and Edmonton scored a shorty to take the lead. Ends up being the game-winning goal. No,
I just there was a grand slam.
How about Sirek? Go with the Rays game-winning single in the 9th.
I wanted to do Lopez throwing his glove, but I couldn't find a good, call, if you will.
We just went Mariners, Astros, sack fly.
Sack fly.
Can we fire him before tomorrow?
Possibly.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for
I know. Well, I will say the people that are left in the building, I hardly worked with. So that's probably why they actually, think I'm a decent human being.
That's why I like Tom so much. He didn't know me.
Right.
Oh, gosh, they gave him the axe in a hurry.
Well, they cut 7% of their workforce.
Jeez.
I mean, that not just here, nationwide.
I just walking through the sales pit there. It's amazing how many empty desks there are compared to when we worked here. I mean, and we had desks. He was never a boxing commissioner, Sonny. He was just a promoter. Him and Aram, they just ran it.
Irish, I think Detroit pizza's properly rated. Not over or underrated. It is what it is.
It just is what it is.
Yeah.
It's just, first of all, I don't want to know when Detroit pizza became a thing. I'm not, I grew up in Michigan.
Yeah.
There was no, Little Caesars was the Detroit pizza.
So I'm laughing because I don't disagree. I just.
Like, when did Jets decide that we've got this Detroit
style
pizza?
Yeah, I don't know. It is
greasy
unique.
box cut pizza. That's Detroit style pizza. Really greasy.
I think it's got to be a rectangle as well.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm just telling you what the.
So that's Detroit. I was going to say, because I saw the comment and I'm like, what is Detroit pizza?
Jets
I know what New York style pizza is. I know what Chicago's deep dish pizza is, but
nothing touches New York. Nothing.
Well, I mean, people from Chicago,
That's not pizza.
It's almost
John
like
Stewart got it right. First off, the Chicago pizza, that's the thin pizza. Like, you go to Rosati and they're really thin. That's delicious.
Okay.
That John Stewart's never been more right, and he's been right about a lot of stuff.
John Rothstein always tweets out that, like, the college basketball guy, he always tweets out, never waste money on pizza in the central time zone.
Wow.
It's, it's shot at Chicago, of course. Okay, who am I calling here?
Ron Sirek. My buddy, after the play of the day, goes, maybe it's a good thing he's leaving.
Manny Ramirez is 52.
Could probably bet fourth on the Mets.
Ron's good to go. Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes before the hour, Brad Gillie of PRN will join us at the top of the hour. Ron Sirek is cutting into his work. He's at the U.S. Women's Open in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and he just tweeted out or posted out on X, this your 190th major?
Men's and women's combined. Yep, that's right. And 25th U.S. Women's Open.
Well, you
means
got
I'm an old guy. Means I'm an old guy. That's all it means.
But it means you got to get to 200, right? You got to put up the big number.
I was just talking with somebody about that, about whether that's doable or not. I can get there, sure. Now, Dan Jenkins, the legendary Dan Jenkins, did 200 majors, all men's. I mean, mine are men's and women's combined. So.
Ron,
Actually, three times I've done all the men's majors and all the women's majors in the same year.
Ron Sirek, who contributes to the Golf Channel. Follow him, ronsirek.com, author of many a book as well. Sirak, Ron Sirek.
Ron, the U.S. Women's Open, probably a lot of storylines to do this. Nelly Korda's great golf, but Lexi Thompson announcing that she's retiring at the end of this year took a lot of us by surprise. Did it take you by surprise?
Yeah, it did in the sense that, I mean, once I heard her talk, I wasn't surprised, but I wasn't expecting this. I sort of got tipped off on Sunday by some people that it was going to happen, so I was able to have my story all ready to go when she announced it. But I was at the press conference when she made it official, and boy, there was not a shred of doubt in her mind. She's only 29 years old, but she's been on the stage since she was 12, qualified for this tournament, U.S. Women's Open, at the age of 12. And her career's been a roller coaster ride, an enormous talent who's had some really painful heartbreaks along the way. A 4-stroke penalty that cost her one major championship, where she still made it into a playoff despite the 4-stroke penalty. Twice she let U.S. Opens get away from her. Most recently, 2021 at the Olympic Club, she had a 5-shot lead with 9 holes to play, shot 41 on the back 9, and finished 1 stroke out of the playoff there. I think that in 2018, she took a month off in the middle of the season as sort of a mental health break because it was all just overwhelming for her. And I think now she's decided at 29, she just doesn't need the aggravation and the pressure anymore.
Ron, you said, hey, I'm an old guy. I've been doing this a while. Has there been a time in golf where, quote unquote, mental health, obviously we know about the recent tragedy on the PGA Tour. Lexi is retiring or scaling back solely because, of mental health reasons. And she documented them, as you said. I mean, have there been other golfers that you know of that also stepped away for, quote, mental health reasons, but maybe in the past people didn't come out and say it?
Well, I think that we're in a very different era now of heightened awareness. I remember talking to one longtime PGA Tour player, and I said, did you have a psychology coach? And he said, yeah, Dr. Jack Daniels. It was in my bag every time I played. And, that was the way things were dealt with back then. But I think we're in a heightened awareness where people are both more aware of mental health issues and more willing to be open about it and deal with it. It's just really been within the last 30 years that we've recognized PTSD as a legitimate illness to deal with out there. So I do think that people are more aware of the situations they're in. And I also think, and I think this is true in Lexi's case, and why I think we may see this with more athletes retiring younger is the fact is people can be financially secure at a younger age and step away from that pressure and just say, I've done this long enough. I've got enough money, and this is taking a toll on me, and I don't want it to take a toll on me any longer.
Ron, you use the term heightened awareness about mental health issues, and I think you're right on to it, heightened awareness. But is either tour doing anything by hiring psychologists for the tour? Are the tours doing anything to help their players with mental health, or is that something the player has to do on their own?
No, the tours are helping. They do have counseling services out here, and then there are groups within the groups. There's a lot of on both the PGA Tour and the LPGA. There's strong faith-based communities that reach out to the players who want that sort of support. And there are lots of different ways. Golf, in particular, is a very individual and at times lonely sport. And I know with Grayson Murray, it was the kind of situation of if you're struggling dealing with any kind of issues, addiction issues, depression issues, going back to that hotel room by yourself at night is not a good place to go to. So they do work very, very hard to try to make players feel like you're not out here alone. And if you do need help, lean on us.
Ron Sirek joining us live from the U.S. Women's Open in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. We'll get to Nelly Korda and what she could do this week in a moment. Ron, we'll never know. It's a hypothetical question, but I made the argument yesterday that 4-stroke penalty 7 years ago against Lexi, for a golfer who, had trouble finishing in majors. I think her career would have been very different if that didn't happen. I thought it was a BS penalty at the time. First off, don't want to get into the specifics, but just, do you think it would have been different, her career, if that penalty didn't happen, she wins that tournament? And then I think, to be brutally honest with you, Ron, she doesn't blow both U.S. Women's Opens that she blew.
I think there's a lot to be said for that. And in fact, I talked to her about it yesterday. I went up to her in the practice range when she was playing to essentially to thank her for the fact that she's always been amazingly cooperative with me. Anytime I needed something from her, I'd message her and she'd get back to me with answers. And so I thanked her for that. And we did talk about that 4-stroke penalty. And she did sort of said that she was really never the same after that. And it was, look, the rules of golf changed because of that penalty. She was given the 2-stroke penalty for mismarking her ball, and replacing her ball after marking it, and then given another 2-stroke penalty for signing an incorrect scorecard. Well, they finally came to the logical conclusion: how can you be penalized for not recording a score you didn't know you made? So they changed that rule, and if they had changed the rule back then, she'd have won the tournament because she only was once. She finished in a playoff. So with even a 2-stroke penalty, she wins. I do think it was. She never really bounced back from that. I do think that there were issues about her game that never got better. From 100 yards in, she was not a very good player. At the Olympic Club, she had a wedge in her hand on both 17 and 18 on Sunday. Missed the green and made bogey. Couldn't make up and down on either of them. So she always did struggle with that with her short game. That was a technical problem with her. But I do think the emotional trauma of what happened at the tournament I'll always call the Diner, it was really a setback for her that she never really bounced back from.
Nelly Korda's made history already this year. Can she do so again this week, winning the U.S. Women's Open?
I do, and I think that she's very, very comfortable in this situation. What I loved about her last win at Liberty National is she won without her A game. Good players win with their A game. Great players win when they don't have their best stuff. She came into Liberty National after disappointment of having her 5-tournament winning streak broken. And then she started out on Sunday with 3 bogeys in the first 7 holes. Bounced back, shot 38 on the front, comes back in 33 on the back 9, and turned what could have been a 74 or 75 into a 71 and wins. That's what great players know how to do. I saw Tiger Woods do it a zillion times when he won with his B game or C game out there. And the fact that she went out there and won that tournament without her best stuff showed me that she's matured as a player, both technically and emotionally out there. And I think that that's put her very, very well positioned to not be overwhelmed by the pressure of being an overwhelming favorite going in the U.S. Open. I did the math on this yesterday. Her lead over the second, she's number 1 in the Rolex World Golf Rankings over Lilia Vu. Her lead over Lilia Vu is greater than Lilia Vu's place lead over the last person. Somebody with 0 world ranking points is closer to number 2 than number 2 is to number 1 right now. That's a Tiger-like separation from the rest of the field.
And she's got a great game. All right. An American. She's in her peak years. Okay. There is a lot to market here for her individually and for this tour as a whole. The U.S. Women's Open underway where Ron Sirek is in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It's an interesting week, Ron, in terms of anniversaries. It was the Canadian Open almost a year ago, 51 weeks ago, in which the merger, if you will, or the business deal with PIF was announced, and we all know nothing's really happened. What are you hearing? Rory has come out and said, I wish I never got involved. I do think there needs to be a world tour. I want to play around the world. Okay, what are you hearing on the men's side? Is anything productive happening?
I don't think we're any closer now than we were a year ago. I think a year ago people were really excited that there was a light at the end of this tunnel. But I don't think, I think next year's going to look very much like this year. We're going to have a PGA Tour. We're going to have a Live Golf out there, and I don't think we're any closer. And I think one of the obstacles here that I don't know how they're going to round is I don't think that regulatory agencies in the United States, both government agencies and congressional committees, are going to let this a real merger move forward unless they get a look at the finances behind Live Golf. And I don't think the Saudis are ever going to open their books up. So I don't see how they get around that barrier.
Ron, thanks for making time for us, particularly since you're on the course. Have a great week, safe travels, and we look forward to talking to you again, maybe at Major 191.
Talk to you down the road, my friend. Always a pleasure.
Ron Sirek, kind enough over many years to join us, a contributor to the Golf Channel, writes at ronsirek.com and other places, an award-winning writer, author of a few books, kind enough to join us here on Miller and Moulton.
We should really send him something.
I think he's a Red Sox fan. Is there something we could do? Obviously, spring training in Southwest Florida.
I don't know if it's just as simple. You were like, we got a good clue. David Sampson tipped us off to a restaurant he liked. You caught it.
Right.
Send a gift card. It would be nice to just send. I mean, Ron has been as generous as any guest to the show that we've ever had.
I'll look into that.
And we pay him so much money to come on the show.
Yes, we do, as we do most our guests.
Right.
Okay. I mean, Trent, trust me. Okay, you're making a lot more than all our guests. And you're making what $8 a show? What we tried to offer you $9 to stay, and you said, sorry, I gotta go. I'm getting 11 elsewhere. So, yep. I'm just gonna throw this out. A lot of the original contracts that LIV signed with their golfers were 3-year deals. They're up at the end of this year. So LIV has got a lot of golfers that they can move on from. And it might be the older guard. I don't know. Do they move away from the Westwoods and the Poulters of the world who really are not competitive anymore? They're just names. They're ceremonial golfers. What Tiger said he doesn't want to become. I mean, right now, there's an old guard on the LIV tour that's ceremonial. That's name and not much else. And Phil's getting dangerously close.
Phil's there. But Phil's such a name and such a draw on that tour, they're not going to get rid of him.
But with all that money that theoretically, I mean, they can now. Do you think there are guys on the PGA Tour that are coming around like Rory, even though Rory said he's not going to go, but they're kind of like, yeah, eventually there's going to be a deal one day. I'm going to take the money. They're going to call me up. They're going to offer me 50, 60, 70, 100 million plus. I'm going to take it.
I don't think he's the sharpest knife in the drawer, but Brooksy looks like he's having fun. When they show him in the suite for the Rangers-Panthers game, when you're at Game 6 and you look up and you see Brooksy up in one of the suites there, he looks like he's having fun. This has worked out really well for him.
Well, and they have treated the families and the caddies like they're the golfers. I mean, so the families are loving their guy playing on that tour for whatever that's worth. But I'm just that to me is the interesting offseason. If they're not making any progress, Mark, on making a deal, if you're the LIV, you got a lot of guys that technically could come off the books here. You could go after 8, 10, 12 guys strategically. I mean, they're throwing money at Matsuyama. They have been begging Hideki for 2 years, hundreds of millions of dollars to get Hideki. I'm just wondering if does the LIV this offseason go, okay, you don't want to do a deal with us. All right, round 2, here we go. Free agency in golf. Don't laugh. That's what this will be.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
The gift of a natural diamond began its journey 3 billion years ago. Far before it met you, its home is over 100 miles deep within the earth. A natural diamond is the oldest artifact you will ever touch, and each is one of a kind, much like what it symbolizes in your life. Jason and Todd at the Diamond District would like to meet you personally and share their love of natural diamonds and the positive impact of purchasing a natural diamond. Did you know that your natural diamond helps support the livelihood of millions of people worldwide and that it saves animals from extinction? We promise that in our vault sits the largest selection of GIA certified natural diamonds at the most competitive prices in the world. We won't need to make calls to find you one. Jason and Todd truly care about you, their community, and the communities worldwide whose healthcare, education, and critical infrastructure benefit from natural diamonds. Jason and Todd look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to their Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. We're listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
They miss it.
Oh, I forgot to do it again. Son of a bitch.
Oh, wow. Retired Angel Hernandez gets new job inspecting planes for Boeing. Damn.
Oh my God. Expletives. They have a whole thing on the 7 dirty words. They have a whole paragraph. Can't say douchebag on the air. Didn't know that. Okay, I think That's all of that.
It was a nice catch by Sirek.
It was.
Then he wins it in the bottom half of the inning. Mark, how many times do you see that?
Thanks, Roxy.
I guess Seth is actually going to do a Sports with Friends next week with Roxy. And so I said to him, I go, you have got to ask him off air. Off air. I said, when we listened to him do the Marlins games with Dave Van Horn, there was so little chemistry. It sounded like Dave wanted nothing to do with him. That the old guy wanted nothing to do with the young guy, and that they were in different rooms by the end of their time together. Please ask him about it. He's like, okay, I'll try to bring it up. I go, you can do it off air. I go, just let him know. Get your guys in South Florida who used to listen. It just sounded like Dave Van Horn totally shut him out.
You know, that's a good question by Canada. Is there a golfer that would make you watch Live over PGA if they've signed? That's a great question.
It's probably one.
The question.
It's probably, there's not probably only one. Maybe two. I think it's Rory. I think the only guy they could get.
Okay, we got Brad. Here we go.
They need.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Third hour of Miller and Moulton on this Thursday. Brad Gillie, kind enough to join us once again. He from the Performance Racing Network and SiriusXM NASCAR Radio. Follow Brad on X at Brad Gillie, Gillie. Brad, it's David and Mark once again. Thanks for your time. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for inviting me on. Appreciate it.
Well, it is our pleasure. Okay, first off, since you do, post game, first, what was the reaction that they didn't resume racing in the Coca-Cola 6? I'm still waiting. The track's got to be dry by now.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were let down, and including the track and NASCAR. We were, and for a lot of reasons. Number one, you want to see the race go the distance regardless. And the Coca-Cola 600 being the longest race of the year, in front of a sellout crowd, everyone was really watching the anticipation ramping up. And it was ramping up, especially considering, all the teams knew that the rain was coming and you never know what's going to happen there. But when the rain came, started with a little bit of lightning, then some rain, well, that shuts things down for a little while. But it blew through fairly quickly, and everyone thought, hey, it's only about, 10:30 right now? Maybe we can get the track dry in time to be able to go back to racing. And it was looking optimistic for that. The other part of it, Kyle Larson had literally just shown up. Just showed up from the Indianapolis 500 and was about to get in his car. And with 150 laps to go, I think a lot of people were thinking, there's still a chance Kyle Larson could win this race. And the track just wasn't going to be able to get dry in time. It was drying, but it wasn't drying at the rate that they had hoped it would. So there were people who were disappointed at that. And really everyone was. Like I said, the racetrack was, NASCAR was, the race fans were. I think everyone was just, had the hope that we were going to be able to see that one through.
And obviously that's not the case, and the race ended early. All right, talk to us about the Stewart-Haas demise, the fact that this race group now is going out of business. 4 charters will be for sale. This is something that doesn't happen very often, certainly with 4 teams being for sale. Just your thoughts on the demise of Stewart-Haas Racing.
Yeah, it's a really sad thing. And we're in a different time now. There was a time, I'm sure, before the charter system where Stewart-Haas Racing would have been a 4-car team and say they lost a driver like Kevin Harvick and a sponsor in Anheuser-Busch. Okay, well, maybe we go to 3 cars. Or they lose Eric Almirola and a sponsor like Smithfield. Okay, maybe we go to 2 cars. And they just sort of keep moving on. But with the charter system, they own 4 car numbers essentially. And when you have something like that, sure, you could sell the charter, but I think a lot of teams look at it and say, okay, well, do we sell these now? Or the value going to go up? What do we do? Let's continue to run the 4 teams that we have. And the fact of the matter is, performance just has not been there over, probably the last 5 seasons, to be honest with you. Maybe 4. Kevin Harvick in 2020 won 9 races, and then it was like the bottom fell out, and it's the faucet shut off. So performance wasn't there, sponsorship had been lost, and at a certain point, you look at it and say, okay, now we're struggling. We're struggling performance-wise. We're struggling with sponsorship dollars. Hey, but we have these 4 charters that have value. And the last one that we know of sold for $40 million. Now, I don't know if all 4 of theirs are going to sell for that or how that's going to work, but it's kind of hard to not look at that and go, we might be sitting on $160 million, maybe $200 million, maybe less, whatever it is, but it's still a lot of money. And instead of continuing to do battle with this, maybe it's time to just walk away. And I think that's what Tony Stewart and Gene Haas decided to do. That, we've won 2 championships in 15 years. We've had a lot of great memories. Maybe now it's time to let someone else take these 4 car numbers and do something with it.
Is that what is so, I don't want to overstate it and say alarming, but Brad, this is an elite team. Okay. And just seemingly like that, they got to fold up shop and 300 people are going to lose their jobs. I mean, is that at all alarming to, throughout the garage, to other race teams that, wow, you can go from near the penthouse to out of business in 18 months?
I would say yes and no, because, for a few things, I don't feel like Stewart Haas has been an elite team probably for the last 4 years or so. That when their performance dwindled, I mean, it dropped, and it dropped pretty hard. And they were not competitive with the Joe Gibbs Racings, the Hendrick Motorsports, the Team Penske's, and so on and so forth. And I think they had sort of lost that banner. But if you look at it this way, before their charter system, if a 4-car team shut down, well, that was just 4 cars that weren't racing anymore. And for all of the teams that were part of those 4 cars, then you had to go find something that might not be there. But now when a 4-car team sells their teams, their charters, well, those 4 cars still exist and will still exist somewhere. So the promise of employment, I think, is much greater today in that scenario than it was before we went to the charter system. And, believe it or not, as strange as it sounds, there are teams who are, literally team owners are putting it out there. We are hiring right now. Rodney Childers, who is the crew chief for Josh Berry, one of the teams that's shutting down, Kevin Harvick's former crew chief. Earlier this year, he was on Twitter saying, hey, we're looking for skilled mechanics in this and this and this. So teams are actually looking for people right now. So that's a good sign. And, change always creates opportunity somewhere. The uncertainty probably comes more so with the drivers and with the crew chiefs and, say, the higher paid positions. They have a lot of good people there. And those car numbers that are being sold, those charters, are going to need employees to run those teams. So it opens up the market in a pretty good way.
Very quickly, comment in our Twitch chat room. Does that affect their F1 team? And no, it does not affect Haas's F1 team. This is NASCAR only. That apparently the financing and everything is secure in his other race series.
And Brad, when these charters are now up for sale, is this going to be new money coming in? Do you think this is existing teams that buy these charters? How will this shake out with where these charters go?
The rumor mill is existing teams. The rumor mill, one goes to Trackhouse Racing, one goes to 2311, Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan's team. One goes to Front Row Motorsports, where right now it's only Todd Gilliland, and Michael McDowell is going to leave at the end of the year. And the 4th one, we're not sure. Joe Custer, who ran Stewart Haas Racing or runs it, is rumored to be the person that's going to get the 4th charter, and he'll run a single car team, however that works, maybe with an alliance with someone. But that's what the rumor mill says right now.
All right, let's address the Kyle Larson, should he get a waiver debate. Help us out here. You've obviously been involved in NASCAR for a long time. We've been NASCAR fans for a while. I covered NASCAR for a half dozen years. I don't ever remember the sport being as behind one of their drivers trying to accomplish the double as they were this time for Kyle Larson. First off, tell me if that observation is correct. And then secondly, they clearly were behind it. So why wouldn't they grant him the waiver?
Here's what's interesting. The NASCAR rules say if you want to compete for the championship, you must attempt to qualify for every race, and if you do, you have to run that race. But there is part of the rule says unless otherwise authorized by NASCAR. Now, as of Tuesday morning, Hendrick Motorsports has not applied for that championship waiver, meaning they need a waiver for Kyle Larson to continue to be eligible for the playoffs. Kyle Larson went into Indianapolis as the points leader, and he came out of the Coca-Cola 600 race weekend having given that up because he missed the race, and now he's 6 points behind Denny Hamlin, who's the leader. I'm on the fence about this a little bit. Yes, I think this year they should give him a waiver because this is such a big story. I think it's really good for the sport. Circumstances came up with rain and all of the other things, and I think the waiver should come into play for them for sure. But I don't think anyone ever expected that if it was going to rain and delay the Indy 500, that Kyle Larson would stay there. I think the expectation was, well, we'll try it again next year, and he'll come and take care of his day job. I do think NASCAR needs to be very specific about if this should happen again. No, if you make a choice to run somewhere else, that's awesome. And it's a really good thing for sports, and it's a really good thing for motorsports. But if you want to run for our championship, then you need to be a full-time driver here. And missing a race by choice does not make you a full-time driver.
Should it matter, though, if the driver's already qualified? Like, because Larson's already won a couple times this year. So in theory, he's in. I mean, what's the difference between him being caught in rain in Indy and being injured, being suspended? That's where, if you're in already the playoff, should you then be allowed to be out?
Yeah, and that's tough. Like, some of the debate that Todd Gordon, my co-host, and I had been having were, hey, maybe if you do this, it erases your playoffs eligibility and it resets it. He's already got 2 wins this year that got him in the playoffs. Maybe it resets it, maybe something else. But the original reason for the rule and the way they did it, that you have to qualify for every race is and run every race is that so someone just doesn't come in and win 2 races early like Kyle Larson and then say, you know what, I'm going to blow off the Coca-Cola 600 to go run Indy, or I'm going to blow off, the summer race at the Chicago Street Course because I want to go run, in Toronto or somewhere else in IndyCar or run a sports car race. They don't want that to happen. Now, that was not the intent this weekend at all. They fully intended to run both races, but it didn't happen. And it didn't happen at all for the Coca-Cola 600. So I don't think NASCAR I don't think they could say no to a waiver right now. This is too big of a story, but I think they grant the waiver. And if they feel this way, I think then they establish much more clearly when they're writing rules for next year that you can't do this, that if you're going to be a NASCAR driver, then you need to be a NASCAR driver.
Brad, thanks for your time as always and your insights. Safe travels along the way, and hopefully we can talk again during the summer.
Yeah, that sounds great, David and Mark. I always appreciate talking to you guys.
Brad Gillie, PRN with PRN Live, and also pre and post SiriusXM NASCAR Radio. Follow Brad on X at Brad Gillie, Gillie. Brad Gillie joining us on Miller and Moulton.
You got to give him the waiver.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know he said he's a little torn, but listening to how he's torn, it seems that he's more on the side of giving him the waiver simply because it benefits the sport.
And he sounds like he's in favor of giving him the waiver this year, but clamping down on exactly what will get you the waiver and what not.
Yeah, I'd go the other way. I would try to encourage more NASCAR drivers to run the Indy 500.
I also hate the Coca-Cola 600. I got to be honest with you. I really do. It's too long. It's a 4-hour race. That's a long time, man. So I think they're going to force guys, though, if it's raining in Indy, they're going to force them to make a decision in the future. I think they're going to force them to abandon the double going forward. That this will be the last time that a guy can show up late.
I think you're right. And I think that's the wrong decision. I'd want more of my drivers trying to run an Indy.
Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening. MillerandMoulton.com.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Hi, I'm Jason.
And I'm Todd with the Diamond District.
I believe in complete.
Okay.
Is that headset the one you use for TV? Like that headset you're wearing?
No, this is because the microphone doesn't work on it.
Oh, okay.
So I just use it when I come to Fort Myers to plug in.
Gotcha.
So I have a different headset at the house. Irish football, I don't think Junior's going to do it. In fact, I think he commented on it and said no. Somebody bought a charter yesterday, and they don't know if they bought this charter or not, like one of the 4 from Stuart Haas. And I think it was it Front Row? I don't know. Somebody bought a charter yesterday in NASCAR. You got anything? I got a Bill Bender story from a couple days ago in which he asked, would you rather have the college football conferences look like they do today or like they did in 1984?
I don't think there's anybody that would want them to look like they do today. I'm just curious if this football thing, if they get the money the way they're going to and get away without Title IX on this, does the super conference happen? And does everything else go back?
So like the 48 team or 50 or
Right.
60 team or what have you, and then
Trent, if the Lions miss the playoffs this year, will you move back to Florida?
I would strongly consider. It is funny, before the playoff game, the 2 regular season games I went to last year, they lost. Week 2 against Seattle, and then Thanksgiving. So I was nervous to go to the playoff game even, but they hung on. Irish, not huge. I mean, he's just like a wide receiver 3. I liked him, but he's definitely replaceable. Okay, here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
Miller and Moulton on this Thursday. Thanks so much for being with us. MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Magic numbers are 86, 93, and 98. 86 days until Florida State and Georgia Tech in Dublin. 93 days until that August 31st, first week 1 Saturday of the college football season. And 14 weeks tonight, 98 days away from Ravens and Chiefs at Arrowhead. Kansas City going for the 3-peat. How much of a shot do you give them at the 3-peat?
A really good one.
Like, would you take them over the field?
No, I wouldn't take them over the field.
Would you take another team over them, though? I mean,
no, that's.
So you think they have the best chance of all the teams, but you would take the field. It's the safer play.
It's just a safer bet. And I think if you were to say, if I were just to say that they're one of the last 4 teams, I think we'd all agree they're going to be one of the last 4 teams playing in the NFL.
I wouldn't necessarily agree with that.
Oh, no.
Well, you're probably a bit higher on the rest of the AFC
Mm-hmm.
content. And Mark's high on the AFC, but I'm just saying you're probably a little bit more.
The thing that really supports, though, where Mark's going is that they're playing, I could argue they're in the easiest division in the AFC. I mean, don't you think right now they're the biggest favorite to win their division?
Yeah, no, that's a great point.
I mean,
I don't think it's even close.
You know, because if Aaron Rodgers is healthy, if Aaron Rodgers is healthy, then we think there are 3 good teams in the East. Last year, there were 3 winning teams in the South. There was 1 winning team in the West last year. And I'll be honest, right now, who would you bet money on is going to finish with a winning record in the AFC West, not named the Chiefs?
Right.
If I had to pick, it'd be the Chargers.
Okay, so you think Harbaugh will get to 9.
Chargers.
But your point's well taken.
But look at, the Bills are the favorite in the East. They're plus 170. The Ravens are plus 130 in the North. In the South, the Texans are plus 110. The Chiefs are minus 225.
Right. Overwhelming favorites.
Overwhelming. In fact, no one else, there's no other. The Falcons are minus 105. The Falcons are the only team and the Niners are minus 195. So the Niners are the second biggest favorite. The Chiefs are going away the biggest favorite
to win their division.
Minus 225.
They just had a down year, quote unquote, and won their division easily and won the Super Bowl. So it's tough to argue with those odds.
Now, I could make a mistake here because I'm going off the top of my head. So when the Packers won the first 2 Super Bowls, Lombardi retired. And also that was very much the end. A lot of guys didn't play much longer.
And hadn't they won the last NFL championship before it went to the Super Bowl? So they technically three-peated, but they only won 2 Super Bowls in a row. Is that correct?
Yes.
So that's the last time it's been done where a team has won.
But it's not considered a three-peat.
Right.
Okay. But yeah, I believe that is correct. So then, you go through the Dolphins, won back-to-back and took a great team into 74. That was the infamous Raiders playoff game when Stabler getting grabbed, throws the touchdown pass with like 40 seconds to go. And that team was going to break up, though, because Zonka and Kick were going to the World Football League and what have you. But, I mean, that was a really good Dolphins team that had the chance to three-peat there and lost a heartbreaker on the road in the playoffs. Steelers, a couple of cracks at it, and the second one, they got old. Okay. When they won their last Super Bowl against the Rams, and then by the next year, they were old. It was like, oh, damn, that happened fast. The other one, they were injured. They won Super Bowls 9 and 10, and in the Super Bowl 11 season, they had injuries. I think actually Terry missed half the year. They had to win games with Mike Krusek at quarterback. So then you go, the Niners, when the Niners went back-to-back, they hosted the NFC title game, and they were leading the Giants until the final play of the game, and Matt Barr beat him with a field goal. Now, Montana got hurt in that game and wouldn't have played in the Super Bowl the next week against the Bills.
Was that the game that you said was the most joy you'd had?
I was in marriage counseling, and the therapist asked me,
when the last time you were happy?
Yes. When was the last time you were happy? And at that point, we were closing in on nearly 3 years of marriage, and we had gotten married about 4 months before that NFC Championship game. And yes, I was sitting in therapy, and the therapist turned and asked her when's the last time she was happy, and she had a bunch of fairly recent examples, and looked at me and said, "When was the last time you were happy?" And I said, "When Matt Barr squeezed a 42-yard field goal inside the left upright."
Well, at least
and I know therapists aren't supposed to be able to tell these stories to their family and talk about them, but don't you think that therapist went home and said, "I'll be damned. Never expected to hear that one."
Yeah, he breached HIPAA on that one.
I agree.
But he asked your wife first.
Well, it was a woman.
Or she asked your wife first.
She asked my wife.
So you had time to think.
Okay, and then I did. And I was trying desperately to come up with something that wasn't Matt Barr. Okay. And also, that's one of the few times that actually a win on the way to winning the Super Bowl actually meant more. Okay, because stopping the three-peat, and the Giants and Niners had played like 5-6 times in the playoffs throughout the whole decade of the 80s. So there was a lot of bad blood between that one meant more. I would have been okay if I really would have been okay if Norwood had made the kick. I would have. Dethroning the Niners was worth it. But I'm just talking about teams trying to three-peat. I mean, the Dolphins were a really good team and they were healthy, and they just got beat by a really good team on the road by 2. The Niners 2 in a row, and then they're hosting and they're winning. I mean, they came dangerously close to going to a 3rd straight Super Bowl. When the Broncos won their 2, Elway retired. Obviously they were a very different team in 99. Plus Terrell Davis gets hurt 6 games in the season. He's never the same. But so I'm trying to go through teams who had a chance to repeat here. Now, Aikman and the Cowboys, they win their 2. They go to Frisco for the NFC title game, lose, and then win it the next year. So, they had a real shot.
Right.
And then let's see, who's done it since. But I mean, so there's been, if you look at the teams who had a chance to three-peat, Kansas City it's top 3-4 chances probably of all the teams that have had the chance to repeat.
Here's what I'm going to just ask you. And look, I get it. I'd take the field, but is Kansas City going to be a 1 or a 2 seed in the playoffs next year?
Now, they were a 3 last year.
I
understand that. But they have a very tough schedule. Okay, outside of the division. They really do. I'm going to bet on them being a 2.
I would take that. I mean, I'm willing to agree with that.
I think winning last year, that was huge for the chances of this 3-peat. They got the one last year when they really weren't.
Yeah, they weren't the same team.
And they won in overtime.
And they went on the road.
Right.
Also to win 2 playoff games, which they had not done during this whole era.
And let me just ask you one last question. Who's their quarterback again?
The best player in the game.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, I know. Now, betting against him, you've lost a lot of money over these last 6 years. A lot of money. Put it this way, does that streak continue? Because they've done, 6 straight AFC championship games?
Yeah.
I mean, if we posted that as a poll question for tomorrow, will the Chiefs play in their 7th consecutive AFC championship game? Yes or no? What are you voting?
And 5 of them have been at Arrowhead, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Last year was the only one that wasn't.
But do you think they play in 7 consecutive AFC championship games?
I do.
Absolutely.
I think the Patriots played in 8. I think 2011 through 2018, the Patriots were in the AFC title game every year. Chance at history here. And as we're talking this out, it's a pretty good chance. We think they're going to go deep.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Worth.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
20 years ago, Jason and I had the idea for a jewelry store like no other, with a vast selection of certified diamonds priced 8 to 12% over cost. A team of individuals who are educated, driven, and believe in cultivating relationships.
Today, we have become one of the largest independent jewelry stores in the country. Todd and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day, along with our GIA gemologists, master jewelers, custom designers, and non-commissioned diamond consultants, all of which we consider family.
As direct diamond importers, we travel the world, forging relationships and sourcing diamonds. What we love most about our business is that we can call Southwest Florida our home.
If selection, value, and comfort are important to you, give the Diamond District an opportunity. You won't find a better diamond buying experience. Todd and I look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. They cut him for throwing a glove into the crowd.
Well, I think they cut him for the interview. I think they cut him when he said
they're the worst team in the effing league.
Baseball. They said, well, we can't have that. He's a middle reliever, too. I think he pitched okay till yesterday. But
Does Jason Tatum get blanked on more than any player in the NBA?
Tough to feel sorry for him making what he's making.
No. I don't feel sorry for him. But Man,
didn't he just finish first team All NBA too?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for a first team All NBA guy, there are a lot of guys that come after him. I even listen to NBA radio, and then people are after him. And Scalabrini, who does the Celtics games, is like, "What is wrong with you people?"
I think it's warranted.
Really?
Good.
I know
you're
they've had a
gonna,
lot-
since we don't have Daniel Wallach, you have your shot at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, Wallach can't.
You and I are doing an NBA segment at 9 o'clock.
Okay. I don't know. Like, I kind of get it. If the expectation shifts so much to where you're going to the conference finals every year or the finals, you got to win it.
Kate Cunningham or Jason Tatum? Who are you taking?
Tatum.
Okay.
I'm not,
I had a chance there.
I mean,
okay.
It's closer than you think.
Hey, listen to him. Listen to him. Closer than you think.
Will the Detroit Pistons finish the season with a winning record before the decade ends?
Yes. 2028. Cade, for what it's worth, just went like 23, 7-8 for the season. It's phenomenal.
Easy to do on an 18-win team. Somebody's got to get
great.
stats.
I'm just
Someone's got to
just
score
saying.
when you lose by 20 every night.
Oh, they started 2-1. I thought this was going to be the year.
I mean, you got listen.
I trusted Felipe. I love, and he knows, and I remember it because he was all on the Pacers, and I'm like, hey, what do you think? Do the Pistons have a shot at 30?
He said no,
and he's like, no.
I was there with you guys. We were at breakfast, and I was trying to spin it. I'm like, yeah, there'll be a play-in team.
Oh, and he was like, no, they're going to suck.
Yeah, he's like, they're terrible.
Because he was right on the Pacers.
He was all over the Pacers. And that was before they got Siakam.
Yep. I was just a little too young to appreciate the dominance the Pistons
If you're
had.
a starting quarterback on a 2-15 NFL team, you could still throw for 4,000 yards. You're behind every game. I mean, you can be. I mean, wasn't it Bortles?
Blake Bortles,
Mr. Fourth Quarter. They're getting beat by 24, and
Yeah.
Bortles tears up a bunch of fourth quarters.
He was a fantasy dream.
Yep. Are you guys debating in the Twitch chat room whether or not Mahomes is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer? Is that really a debate? Yeah, that's a joke.
He could retire today and be a first ballot Hall of
Yeah.
Famer. With a bullet.
Oh, no, Russell Wilson, not a guaranteed Hall of Famer. No. In fact, I don't know if he gets in.
Yep, Arch, I ran off another producer.
It was you?
That's what he just said. You ran off another producer. Have you run off another producer? Yep. And the irony is I probably ran Philly off and I was the only one saving his job.
No, not only did Mark not run him off, he was here a year longer because of Mark.
But Philly doesn't believe, I don't think in his heart ever would believe that.
And I told him it on air to his face. You're here because of him. I may be more fond of you than he is, and he's fond of you, and I may be more fond of you, but if it was up to me, he would have been fired a year before he left. And I told him that to his face. I was done with it. He had a 3-week stint. He was horrendous. Falling asleep in the middle of the shows. Missed everything.
Here we go.
My God.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. It'll be Mark and Trent for the Diamond District bonus hour. I got to go do my my screenings and my scans. Okay, that I did not eat properly for. Apparently, I was supposed to have a high protein day yesterday.
Speaking of eating improperly, yesterday I played golf after the show. My Wednesday game, same group of guys.
Right.
And I know all these guys. It's members at the club. We're all friendly. And we finished our 9. And the guy I'm riding with is like, do I get a dog or don't I? Is basically where he's at. And he's like, I need one. So I pull into the halfway house there.
Right.
And I get some water and use the facilities. And he comes back to the cart. He's got the dog covered. He's like, don't look at it.
Oh, no, he didn't.
Oh, he did.
No.
But he listens to the show.
He put ketchup.
He put ketchup and mustard. And he said that mustard wasn't really, like, he's trying to give me this. He's from the Philly area. That, he's in my house. There wasn't mustard. That's all we had was ketchup.
Okay, that was a long time ago, sir.
Because I didn't even hear of this mustard thing until later in life.
This mustard thing.
So are there layers to this where it's like just ketchup is worse than ketchup and mustard? Or is it just anything with ketchup, just your
A hot dog doesn't need ketchup. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. When you used to go to Tiger Stadium back in the day, the hot dog vendors had a cup with a popsicle stick in it, and it had mustard. Ketchup was not. You had two choices, plain or mustard, at a Tiger game. And they did it right there. But
he's dying on this hill. If you don't know that by now, Trent, this is a hill he is dying on.
But I felt good that I didn't like the fact that he got in my cart with ketchup on a dog, but the fact that he was hiding the hot dog from me while he was eating it made me feel proud.
If I was him, you know what I would have done? I would have said, hey, I'll walk to the 10T. Okay, I just need to walk this out. You know how sometimes when you're riding and you just feel like, I need to walk. Okay, that's what I would have done. And the whole time I would have eaten the hot dog before we got to the 10T to hide the evidence that I had put ketchup on my hot dog to keep it from you.
No, he walked it off walking from the 5th to the 6T when he dunked 2 in the water in a row.
There you
had
go.
about enough.
Our buddy Bill Bender of the Sporting News, who's been kind enough to come on our show many times over the years, he, we're going to get to this point here in a few weeks where you just start bringing up, hypothetical, you start bringing up topics to fill a little bit of time during the slower time of the year. Well, he covers college sports, and he covers football, really. So, he doesn't have much to talk about right now. So he wrote a story earlier in the week. As a fan, which would you rather have? The conferences look the way they do today, or the way they looked back in 1984. So today or 40 years ago. Remember, the conferences were smaller. Mark, this just in, the Big Ten was, wait for it.
Wait a minute.
Wait for it. 10.
No.
Yes. 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 The Big 12 was the Big 8 40 years ago.
Was the Southwest Conference still in existence?
It was. That's why, it didn't become the Big 12, because you still have the Southwest Conference. Here's my favorite, though. Imagine this as a conference today. It wasn't a conference 13 years ago. 40 years ago, excuse me. These 13 schools were independents 40 years ago.
Notre Dame, obviously.
Uh-huh.
Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's going to start getting a little sketchy.
Now that's the Big Four. Okay. First off, one may surprise you. South Carolina was an independent 40 years ago. In between going ACC to SEC, they were an independent in 84. That's the one that I don't think anybody would have gotten. But the others, first off, you got to think Northeast. Got to think the East and into maybe mid-Atlantic states, because you got Boston College. You got Louisville. You've got Pitt. You've got Rutgers. You've got Syracuse, West Virginia, Virginia Tech. Okay, so the part of the country that doesn't care about college football, they were all independents. And there's one other that I missed. Cincinnati was an independent. Now, 40 years ago, Cincinnati, it was on the schedule. It was a joke. They weren't very good. Imagine that as a conference today. I know awkward number 13, but just how would you feel? Would these games interest you? With Notre Dame, Penn State, Florida State, Miami at the top of the conference. Second tier is, pick and choose.
Pitt, West Virginia.
Well, I used to love those games because
The backyard brawl.
I saw them. I mean, that game got televised in the Northeast every year. Every year. You know, I watched Marino and Hostetler play against each other. I did. You know, Don Nealon in West Virginia. I saw probably 4 or 5 West Virginia games a year growing up. I mean, all we saw was Pitt, Penn State, West Virginia, and Notre Dame. That's it. In the whole region. That's all you saw.
And I remember the Pitt Penn State games. You know, that was one that was always on. And always a big deal.
So those 13 teams were independents. And now, of course, the only independents you have are Notre Dame, Army, UConn, and UMass. Obviously, the Pac-12 was the Pac-10 then. All right. No Utah and Colorado. Colorado was still in the Big 8. Utah, I don't think, was in a major conference. Yeah. How about the old Southwest Conference? Here you go. All right. Arkansas, Baylor, Houston, Rice, SMU, TCU, Texas A&M, Texas Tech. So think of all the Texas, A&M, Tech, got Rice, you got Houston, you got Baylor, you got SMU, TCU.
So, okay, in this, we had the Southwest Conference, we had the SEC, the ACC, the Big 10, the Big 8, the Pac-10. Am I missing anybody? And then the independents.
Just think about the distribution of.
So there's 6 conferences. There's a Big 6, if you will, right?
Right. Now, I will say Utah, BYU were in the WAC in 84, and 84 was the year that BYU won the national title. It was a strange year, all right, but they were the only unbeaten, and everybody else had lost at least a game.
But think about it, in a 12-team playoff. The Big 6 would all send their conference champ. Now, you know, would only one of the independents go? Or even in a 14-team playoff? I mean, how many at-larges would be coming from independents?
Sure. You know, the SEC had 10 40 years ago. Alabama, Auburn, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, LSU, the 2 Mississippi schools, the 2 Tennessee schools, Tennessee and Vandy. 40 years ago, they had 10.
I'd change it back tomorrow if I could.
The thing that sticks out to me is just the distribution of the heavy hitters, the big players. You know what I mean? Because now it's only SEC, Big 10.
Yes.
Maybe ACC if you want to count Clemson. But it's not even, because the last few years, Clemson's fallen off the face of the earth.
So the SEC had 10 schools. Do you know how many conference games they played 40 years ago?
Probably 8.
6.
I just thought you were going to have some irony that it'd be the same now as it was then with 10 teams.
Were they all backloaded?
I have no idea why that was.
Would they start with 4 non-conference and then play all
Yes,
6?
mostly.
Okay.
But also, you only played 11 games then. Now you play 12. Okay, you played 11. Like Florida that year 40 years ago, Florida was the best team in the SEC. They went 9-1-1. For whatever reason, they had a postseason ban. So LSU represented the conference in the Sugar Bowl. And of course, that's the other thing where it was strict bowl ties 40 years ago. You were the best team in the SEC, you went to the Sugar. Obviously, we all know the 2 conferences who went to the Rose Bowl.
And the Orange was a double at-large, right? Or was it Big 8 and an
Orange was
at-large?
Big 8 and an at-large.
At-large.
So they could go independent, or they could pick and choose. And the
Sugar was at-large.
And Southwest Conference went to the Cotton.
Right.
And the Fiesta wasn't,
the Fiesta.
No.
They had not yet played for all the Tostitos.
No, they hadn't. Thank you, Brent.
Yeah, I'd love to have a word with the Yahoo who wouldn't go back to the 84 setup.
So, just one of those kind of, filler pieces he's doing, but just asking the fan. Obviously, you've got much smaller, Big 10, 10, SEC 10, the Big 8, the Pac-10, the Southwest Conference, and 13 independents that have some name. For what it's worth, by the way, UCF 40 years ago was a D2 school, football-wise. They weren't even D1 yet. You're talking about teams.
And South Florida didn't have football.
And South Florida didn't have football. But talking in UCF's case, team that's in what's considered a power conference today, they weren't even Division I program then.
Do you think there's any hope for how big these conferences are getting that eventually there will just be like, they'll chop it up and there'll be the Big Ten?
No, I think it goes
Big
the other
10
way.
B?
I think we're going to a super conference. I believe that sometime after this initial run of 14 teams is done, that the talk of them breaking away and doing their own thing happens.
Here's what I think's my best hope going forward. What Mark's talking about is going to happen at some point. But then in all the other sports, they actually regionalize. They look at one another and go, we need to go back. There's no need. We're a super conference for football. Football's its own animal. All right. We're going to try to get around Title IX with football. Okay. With all this professionalizing of it. But now let's go back with the other sports. We're bringing them in-house. And you know what? Let's go back. I actually think it's the best chance for the Pac-12 to be a conference again, in which those schools look at one another and go, what the hell are we doing playing volleyball 2,000 miles away?
Unless a lot of those sports just go away. And that's the painful reality of what could happen with now the schools directly paying players. I'm worried that Olympic sports go away and that when they go to the super conference, that they don't care about the other sports at all. I hope I'm wrong.
It is something for all of us to keep in the back of our minds, say about, 3 Olympics from now. If the
U.S. falls off a cliff.
Right, because basically the colleges are the feeder system to our Olympic teams in all of our, quote, Olympic sports. And if those sports, A, start being not well-funded, or B, no longer being varsity sports. I mean, Michigan State dropping swimming and diving. I mean, seriously? Like
in the Big Ten.
A Big Ten school's lacking. There's no schools making more money than Big Ten schools. They're out generating the SEC for now. We'll see if when the new deal kicks in, I still think the Big Ten's going to out-generate it. I mean, when a Big Ten school's dropping sports, we got issues. You're not exactly handling your money effectively if you're dropping sports in the Big Ten.
Well, and it also just shows your priorities. It tips your hand. All you care about is football and men's hoops.
Yeah, and Michigan State had a few payouts they had to make.
Well, that is true.
They did lose a little money in their athletic department.
That is true. No sense taking it out on the swimmers and divers, though.
Yeah. No, that's a good point about the Olympics. I do think that holds some weight.
We were, I forget, I think it was 88. We did not have a good 88 Olympics. And George Steinbrenner stepped in and said, well, what are we doing wrong? We can never have this happen again. And by 92, and basically it was money. We started offering cash incentives. Okay, our amateurs were having too hard of a time, paying the bills, quite frankly. And so Steinbrenner said, well, we need to inject money into the system. And then, all right. Well, now we're going to go down. We are. It's going to take, a couple of Olympiads, but we're going to go down in the 2030s in the Olympics.
There's no question.
And so we're going to have to figure it out.
And we may have to be like other countries and start having those Olympic sports be
professionalized.
Yes. And work at them from a very young age, the way the Europeans do with their sports.
Right, because you won't be able to rely on the NCAA, the college athletics, to get these athletes ready.
And no conference produced more Olympians than the Pac-12. And the Pac-12 just went away. Now, it's in a bunch of sports that we don't care about, except every 4 years with the medal count. We just want to see us at the top of the grid.
But that makes sense. Pac-12, it's swimming, track.
Yeah.
Track and field.
Right, and it's, quite frankly, a part of the country where football is not the be-all and the end-all. And the rest of the country looks at them like they're dumb.
Well,
foolish.
I mean, there's a reason to look at them that way if they don't think football is the most important.
It all comes back to football.
You're damn right it does.
That's right. It just means more, baby.
What do we got? How many weeks today?
It's 14 weeks today till Chiefs Ravens, 86 days till Florida State Georgia Tech, 93 until that final Saturday in August, week 1 of the college football season.
Not to be confused with week 0.
Right, it's college football after all. That's why you have 34 teams in the Big Ten. Right. That's why we have a week 0 and a week 1. It's college football. We can't count. Miller and Moulton. Diamond District bonus hours next.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When you enter the Diamond District, you will quickly discover what makes Jason and Todd so unique to Southwest Florida. They're in the store nearly every day, and along with their team, offering a warm, caring, and personal connection. One where every moment is an invitation to elegance and sophistication. Within the walls of the Diamond District, you'll find many of America's top jewelry designers who have chosen the Diamond District as their authorized representative in Southwest Florida. Tacori, Fana, H. Affy, Baraggio, Christopher Designs, Shy Creations, Henri Dossi, all names synonymous with excellence and designed in the U.S. and all proudly showcased at the Diamond District. Jason and Todd look forward to sharing the stories behind these notable partnerships with you. Discover the meticulous craftsmanship and unparalleled beauty that define each piece of jewelry as you embark on a journey of timeless elegance. Jason and Todd look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to their Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail
The
East.
law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Worth.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Nice shirt, by the way.
Turkmenistan. I gotta go somewhere today in public just to see if, somebody from Turkmenistan would approach me.
Right. I'd never heard of it until.
Me either.
Canada relief? Absolutely. I would draft Bronny James at 5 to get LeBron in Detroit. That'd be awesome. Maybe get him from 14 wins to 25.
I don't think so.
40-year-old LeBron in a Pistons jersey. Just the way we all drew it up. All right, here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Something like that. It is Miller and Moulton. David had to duck out a little early. Came back to Southwest Florida for a couple days for some tests. He's got to get those done. He had his appointment for 10:30. They told him yesterday the appointment's at 9:30. So that leaves a Miller and Moulton without a Moulton, but we have a Trent Bally here in the Diamond District bonus hour. Thanks to Todd and Jason, our good friends at the Diamond District. Make sure when you're shopping for your jewelry, you go to the Diamond District and tell them Miller and Moulton sent you. All right. We talk very little NBA on this show, and that's because our audience is not as into the NBA. And I sometimes get mad at David and I, at the two of us, for not trying to embrace it more. It is the playoffs. The playoffs have been, I think, pretty solid. The conference finals were incredibly interesting, that there were a bunch of close games, and we have one sweep, and we have one that's at 3-1 right now. But the playoff ratings are down about 12% from what I was looking up. And a lot of that is the Lakers getting bounced early and no Steph.
Yep.
I mean,
the marketable guys.
LeBron and Steph, the two big draws. LeBron was out early. Steph didn't make the playoffs. So you're losing the two biggest draws in the sport. Now, I blame the sport a little bit for that. Yes, they celebrate their stars, but we've had a coming out party in these playoffs with Anthony Edwards, with Luka Doncic. Even though Luka's been there for a while, this playoff run has brought more notice to Dallas, to he and what Kyrie are doing. Do you think the league, Trenton, you love the NBA.
Yes.
Do you think the league is in a good place right now, an average place, or in a bad place right now?
I think it's in a good place, but people are slow to realize it, if that makes sense. I think this is a good thing. Now, for people my age, I'm 24, it's weird because the LeBron, the Steph, Kevin Durant, even you can throw in James Harden, Russell Westbrook. Those guys that I grew up idolizing and watching all got bounced early. So now you're almost forced to, if you love the league, to tune in and watch Tyrese Halliburton and Jalen Brunson. And like you
and I think, Brunson, because Halliburton, he drove me nuts. His style of play he's a great player. Don't get me wrong. He is a great player. But guys who don't look like they want the ball at the end of the game when they're the guy,
yeah,
I have trouble seeing them carrying the torch for the league, if you know what I mean.
Totally.
I don't know if a Halliburton is a guy that you can put up there and say, all right, here's the next wave of stars. Brunson's a totally different story because he was amazing.
Yep.
And
give me the
plays
ball.
With it wants the ball, plays with a high energy, plays with a tenacity that you want him on. He's so likable. There are a lot of players, LeBron for different reasons isn't likable. The basketball player, LeBron, and although the basketball player can be unlikable because he whines a lot, Brunson just plays hard. I don't think there's any fan base that watched him go, I wouldn't want him on my team.
Played at Villanova, came from a great Jay Wright tree, and all he does is win. I understand the Knicks, 2 seed in the East. If they were at full strength, maybe they could have made a run. But Mark, here's why I think it's so good, because it's changing the way success is measured in the league a little bit, if you know what I mean. There's not the super team thing anymore. The two teams that are about to go to the finals were homegrown. Luka was drafted by the Mavericks. Kyrie signed in free agency traded, I guess, after a couple of failures in Boston and Brooklyn. And
a couple, and that's, by the way, just a quick sidebar.
Yeah.
That's why And I've got one good friend who is a diehard Boston sports fan, and haven't seen him as much because he had ankle surgery. And I saw him yesterday, and Gino just looked at me and he goes, "I can't handle Kyrie coming back to Boston." And at that moment, I became the biggest Mavs fan on the planet, because a Mavs Celtics series is going to take on a whole new light, because Kyrie wasn't just bad in Boston. It was awful.
Terrible. Because that was his first go round without LeBron after he made all this, he made it publicly known that he wanted to have his own team. And he goes to Boston of all places. I don't think they went on a single playoff run where he was the best player. Because if you remember in 2018 conference finals, so Kyrie was technically on the team. That was Jason Tatum's rookie year, and he was the guy on that team. Jaylen Brown was the guy on that team.
And why does Tatum get we talked about this during a break.
Yeah.
Tatum's a first-team All-NBA guy.
3 times in a row.
And he gets treated like dog do by the media. Now, I don't really think by other players, but certainly the media takes their shots at him. And that can all end if he wins. That all ends when he wins the title, right?
Yeah, totally. So, and that's where I think some of the criticism's a little overstated or overkill. I'm with you there, but I do think, they've been to the conference finals how many times since he's been there? They made the finals once. This will be twice. And I just think someone of his caliber, who is now, like you said, been a first team All-NBA guy 3 years in a row, at some point a player of that caliber should have a title. And let's not kid ourselves. The fact that he plays for the Celtics, that heightens the expectations a little bit. Compare him to an Anthony Edwards, who is doing this in a small market, and he's likable because it's the little guy. But he's not going to get criticized. He had a terrible Game 7 in the second round.
Terrible Game 7. Games 1 and 2, he was bad.
Yep.
Now he played a lot better in Game 4.
Right, but they might lose in 5 games, and no one will criticize.
Right. He played well in Game 3. Towns was nowhere to be found in Game 3.
Correct.
So you are right. Because Anthony Edwards is being anointed as the league's next great player. And I hope that he is. I think the league's at an interesting spot because they love to market their stars. And a lot of these stars, I don't want to say are unmarketable, but they don't seem to possess that me quality that the Hardens, the Westbrooks, the LeBrons,
Kobe before that.
Right. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing for an NBA player.
Right.
That could be the right thing for an NBA. That might be the right mindset. But when you look at who the best players are in the league,
yeah,
and you look at Jokic, and he's a nondescript, not pointing at me ever.
Right.
Luka, now he does. Luka's got the alpha. There's no, when he was chomping at Gobert after knocking down that 3,
yeah,
that's the dog.
Chomping at Devin Booker a couple years ago.
That's the guy
yeah,
that seems to be incredibly, to me, marketable.
And he is. So to your point, the league, I think it's in a good spot, but I'm probably in the minority there. But I think in 2 or 3 years, that'll age a lot better because you will start seeing these younger players really lean into this. We're not even talking about SGA and Chet and OKC, who just had the best record in the West. It's
SGA's, another guy outside of a bad commercial. How do we know him? No,
no, that's a great point.
And
it is a
thank goodness that they're not showing that anymore.
It's so bad.
That finally had its run. I've not seen that in a few weeks, so I think or at least in a week. I've not seen that commercial as much, so
I haven't either.
That's a positive.
But if you ask good place, bad place, in the middle, it might be more in the middle than I'm leading on. I think
it's middle to bad because you're losing LeBron.
Yeah.
Steph, how many more years is Steph going to play?
2 or 3. At this level, probably only 2 or 3. He might,
maybe 1.
And he's a great shooter, so he could prolong his career if he wants and do the Ray Allen thing. But
can you see him bouncing around from team to team being a specialist? I don't see that.
Not at all. I'm with you there.
I see him walking away. So, all right, tonight's game, your thoughts. Do the Mavs close it out or do the T-Wolves extend this series?
I joked yesterday, and it was just that. I was joking. If there was ever going to be a player or a team or an attitude that was going to come back from 3-0 and win the series, it would be this Timberwolves team that, take no crap from anybody. Number 1 defense in the league. Anthony Edwards is just barking mad all the time.
But that defense has struggled.
It has.
In this series. That you mentioned it many times. They were built to take on OKC with their bigs. They don't have the lineup to seemingly be able to stop the big 2 for Dallas.
And for that reason, I think this game tonight, I think the Timberwolves could get it, but then Dallas will turn around, and in Dallas game 6, they'll just put them out of their misery. Dallas, I don't even know if they're the better team, but they certainly have earned it. They've taken it. Like you said, Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards have disappeared for long stretches of this series. And quite frankly, the Mavericks, it just feels like they're a team that's been to the conference finals with this core. It's their time, it feels like.
Well, in the last game, the team was they got 3 threes out of Towns in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Can you really expect him to do that again?
Replicate that. Yeah, you can't, to answer your question. But I don't know. Like I said, if there was a team that was going to do it, it would be the alpha in Anthony Edwards, the defensive player of the year in Rudy Gobert, the Twin Towers between Cat and Gobert doing their thing.
And Anthony Edwards wanted the ball in game 4.
Yeah, he did.
In games 1 and 2, he wasn't calling for the ball nearly as much as he did. It's got to touch his hands every time down the court.
In game 5 tonight in Minnesota, I could see the Timberwolves putting on a show for the home crowd and doing their thing, but they haven't done that.
No, they played terribly at home.
And actually against the Nuggets as well, they lost the first 2 games at home. So you can't even really lean on that. So I think the T-Wolves get it done tonight, but the Mavs slam the door in game 6.
I'm actually with you 100% on that. I just got a hunch that the T-Wolves extend the series because it's my dream to have hockey have all these days to itself, and it's just not going to happen. That somehow the NBA will figure out a way to keep people talking about the NBA.
Right.
And I think by the way, I think it's a good thing for the league to extend it because then we don't have to hear more Bronny James and LeBron stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Because that will be, last night I just flipped on the channels and it's like the hockey was on TNT. Basketball was supposed to be on ESPN. And what are they showing? The Last Dance. That's all they've got.
Yeah. It's that time of year, right? Where they're praying. And that's why, to David's point, I think he brought this up yesterday. They've already decided when the finals are starting. That's where we could, in honor of our poll question, you could look at the commissioner and be like, what are you doing? Why are you picking the start date of the finals when in theory both series could be short series?
Do me a favor.
Games.
Look at what do you call it? The Book of Miller and Moulton?
The Book of Miller and Moulton.
What's the first thing that's said on there?
It's a TV show.
That's why it's not starting until June 6th. Our poll question today, if you care to vote, who's the worst commissioner in sports? Right now, Adam Silver, who was voted the second best commissioner in yesterday's poll, is voted the worst commissioner. Manfred is second, Bettman is third, and Roger Goodell is bringing up the rear on the poll question of who is the worst commissioner in sports. Go to that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X if you care to vote.
How much of this do you think is just people vote for the sport they care about the least, the league they watch the least?
On the worst commissioner?
Yeah.
100%.
Because
100%.
And for the record, what was your vote?
I voted for Silver.
Okay.
Because of the load management.
Yeah.
And he's not handled. You talk about the Donald Sterling thing, which he handled well. How he handled everything with China was a complete debacle.
Oh. Jamal Murray not being suspended after throwing a heating pad at the referee.
I have things to point out, but you could point at all of them for different reasons. So go vote. Who's the worst commissioner in sports? That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, or Miller_Moulton on X.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dining
That show down the hall, they have a good old time.
Oh, yeah. They do.
Did your mom leave yet?
Tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow?
I got up this morning, thought it was today, and kind of freaked out. I'm like, oh, crap, I'm up late because I got to get up early tomorrow.
What for?
Take her to the airport before the show.
Oh, wow.
Her flight's at like 6:15 or something like that. So I'll get her to the airport at 5. Gets me here by 5:30. 5:15 probably. What time are you out tomorrow?
Like 11:50. So
All right,
I got to haul out of here.
Do you want me to pick you up?
Oh, in the morning?
On my way,
For the
since I'm
show?
going to the airport. Or I can just follow you back to your place with your car and take you to the airport. No sense leaving your, I mean, what were you going to, how are you going to get to the airport? Me?
I was going to Uber.
Okay, I'll take you to the airport.
All right.
Save the $10.
Deal. Thanks. She going to hang out with friends?
Yeah, one of her best friends actually has the same birthday. It's also June 1st.
Okay.
So she's going back to hang with her buddy. She got a wild hair because that woman came down here last year, and all of a sudden she's like, I'm going to Saginaw for my birthday. I'm like, said by no one ever.
Right. If anything, you'd think it'd be like the opposite. People in Saginaw come to Florida for their birthday. It's been nice up there, though.
Whatever.
I mean, it's that time of year. If you're going to go now. Yes, Michael, I'm jamming everything into one suitcase.
All he's got is
Nah, I don't have much.
Michigan State shirts, Lion shirts, and the occasional Pistons jersey.
Got to fold up the jerseys real nice. Don't want to crease the numbers. Are you familiar with any of the shows on the Michigan Sports Network?
The Huge Show.
Okay.
And I think Matt Shepard's doing the mornings now, the former Tigers guy.
6 to 9, yeah.
We had him on once for opening day last year.
Yeah?
Or this year, because the Tigers opened with the Rays. Oh, no. Trent's got a couple more months left on his lease.
Yeah, that unfortunately is the biggest problem right now. So I got to try to, I can't break it. You got to get someone to fill your spot, but this apartment complex is only 60% full. So
right.
There's no one.
This time of year, it's not, it's not.
Yeah. Hopefully when all the FGCU students come back, I'll be able to.
Or do you have it when? Through July?
Yeah. Next July. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Right. Okay, here we go.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Miller and Moulton, the bonus hour brought to you by the Diamond District. Thanks so much for listening. David had to bug out a little early today, so Trent and I steering the ship home for the final couple of segments. And I've got to ask you, because it's Trent's last week with us. Trent's last day is tomorrow. He made it here a short time, but given an opportunity for something bigger and better, we hope that will be the case. But Trent, your wardrobe consists of, I've seen you in a collared shirt once.
I think it was my first day here.
I believe that's right.
I showed up wearing a collared shirt, and then I saw what Felipe was wearing. I was like, yeah, I don't need to.
So your wardrobe consists basically of Lions, some Tigers, but mostly Lions, Michigan State, and Pistons gear.
Yeah.
With the occasional Motley Crue shirt thrown in there.
Yep.
Which would make me think everything's going to get stuffed in a suitcase. But I also noticed you are a lefty. And you're pretty neat. I watch when you write things down. You're pretty meticulous about things, which makes me think you have a little OCD in you.
Yeah.
Is this packing experience? Do you have a method? Do you have a system? Is this going to be a long packing day to get all of these things jam it into one suitcase to get your behind back to Michigan tomorrow?
Like many people, it'll probably take me longer than I'm planning for. I'm expecting to just throw everything together, but it's going to end up taking a lot longer. But I have a system. I'm not too OCD about it. I'm not too meticulous about it, but there's a right and a wrong way to pack. So,
there is.
There's certain things I can't take. Like I have aerosol deodorant. I can't take that. I got to buy a stick somewhere because you can't get it on the plane.
Oh, you're not checking the bag. You're carrying the bag on.
I'm carrying it on.
So you're
I
not
don't
even
check a bag. I never check a bag. Costs too much money. I don't get it. But because I'll be coming back in mid-June and then also first week in July, it'll be a gradual.
What are you going to take away from, skip the show. I don't want to hear anything about this damn show right now. The best thing that you take from being in Florida for 7 months.
That's a great question. I accumulated about 3 new bathing suits that I really like. 5-inch inseams. They're comfortable.
So that's the best thing you take is a new bathing suit order. And you're getting back to Michigan, right, for the 2 months that you're able to wear a bathing suit.
Right. And then I'll be smacked in the face again with Michigan fall and winter. And I'll be tuning into you guys.
You did this from a timing standpoint, you showed up, you got here.
October, November.
Right as the weather's turning beautiful down here.
Yep.
Staying right until it gets where you're getting to experience a little bit, because it's a little hotter than normal right now. This isn't even full-blown humidity. You didn't even experience full-blown humidity yet.
Right.
So you did pull this off in a pretty respectable fashion, I must say.
And I hear it gets very, very hot. Does it hit triple digits down here?
No, it stays about like this, but humidity matches.
Gotcha.
It gets more. People who've lived here, a lot of the people that I play golf with are part-timers. They're snowbirds. And when they come down here for the first thing, what's summer like? Just get through one. Once you get through one, it's easy. I think anybody who's been here for any length of time would tell you that it's after you get through one, then it's all downhill from there. But we wish you all the best. And Trent will be doing his own show in Lansing. When do you start, by the way?
The idea is I'm just going to kind of take this summer to sell the show, figure things out, and then Lion season, baby, week 1. That's when we're going to be on the air. Hit the ground running.
Oh, boy.
With the Lions.
You will be insufferable.
Oh, yeah.
But you'll be in your element where they're all that way. Now, are you going to be able to, because you're in Lansing, so you can continue to bash Michigan.
Yep.
You don't have to worry about the teams that you're homer for.
Right.
To continue that.
Yeah. It will feel natural. It's what I do anyways every day. I just either talk to myself, I talk in the shower, I call my friends and rant about. It will just be what I do anyways. Won't feel like work.
That's why we've been doing it and trying to continue it for as long as we have.
Right.
The Diamond District bonus hour, thanks to Todd and Jason at the Diamond District. Make sure when you're there, you tell them that Miller and Moulton sent you. The poll question today, who is the worst commissioner in sports right now? Adam Silver running away with it. And I think that is just simply our main audience's distaste for the NBA.
And honestly, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, people don't like the load management. Like you said, they don't like the idea of, I'm sure
the regular season product is bad.
It is. And I'm sure there's a listener or two out there who's been burned by they go to see the Heat and Jimmy Butler's not playing.
But I think, see, this is why the NFL is so popular. The regular season product, even though the game has gotten softer, there's just no two ways about it. What I watched in the league at your age, the game is completely, is completely changed in 30 years. The way you could drill a quarterback, the way you could, the hits over the middle on defense, the game has completely changed. But yet the regular season's as meaningful as it's ever been. Basketball, the regular season is not what it once was. Hockey, the regular season's not what it once was. There's not any hitting in the regular season. And that's why the playoffs are what they are.
But then you've got baseball that has kind of gone the other way. They've improved their product in the regular season.
They have. And
which is mind-blowing to me.
They really have. I mean, I don't know if they've improved. Well, that's a great question. Have they improved the product? They've sped up the product.
Which in turn has, I think, improved it.
It's improved it, but not from 30 years ago. I don't think. Analytics have run amok in that sport and maybe that's the proper way to play it, that everybody swings for the fences and you want to get home runs. But we've lost the hitting for contact. We've lost defensive plays. We've lost a lot of the game that I think many of us enjoyed. The game is just different than it was now. And your choices are to not watch or get on board. I'm fine with where baseball is. I love the fact that they sped the game up because it was simply too long before. But there are so many. The Marlins struck out 13 consecutive times 2 days ago. 13 consecutive times.
Oof. But this is where, yesterday when we asked who's the best commissioner, this is where you could give Manfred some credit because he's eliminated the shift, which has taken some of the analytics out of it. DH is now universal. They got rid of Angel Hernandez. Things are happening in baseball.
He put the pitch clock in.
Yes.
We're a year or two away from robotic umpires at home. It's not going to happen by all counts. It's not going to happen next year. It could happen the following. They don't think they have the technology absolutely right yet at the minor league level that they can take it to the majors. And it looks like it's not going to be what I wanted, which is simply, 1 beep for a ball, 2 beeps for a strike, or whatever you want to do. It's going to be a challenge system. They think that's the only way to properly do it. I would rather have it be full blown. I don't know why you need a challenge system if you can actually get the call right every time, but maybe for pace of play, for quickness, that's where they're going to go with that. But that's why I voted for Manfred yesterday. Manfred's made a lot of changes that have made the game better. I don't know if analytics will allow the game to, the people who run analytics run teams, and batting 350 is not as important as what your OPS and slugging percentage is.
When the weather is this and you're playing in this ballpark and the wind's carrying out this, there's so many X's and O's, if you will, in a sport that has never been that way. But I think it's all about the sample size. Like, I think if you look at the last 5 years, Manfred's done an unbelievable job. But if you look at the last 10, 15 years, Roger Goodell's done awesome because the NFL is as big as it's ever been.
The only thing that they are doing is oversaturating, and no one seems to mind.
No one cares.
They took over Christmas. No one cares.
They're going overseas.
No one. Not only do they not, it's working.
Yeah.
They were playing a game in Brazil. They're talking about playing a game in Australia. They're talking about playing a game in the Middle East. When we're going to 18, and Pat Kerwin's talked about it. We've talked about it on the show. When they go to 18, will it still be a 9 and 8 system with 1 international game? And I think that's a distinct possibility.
With how crazy and wild west that college football is, too, I think that's even helping the NFL. People are jumping on board more for the NFL than ever before because of how little parity there is in college.
Well, and I don't know of people who have gone from college. I'm one that's gone from Saturday to liking Saturdays more to now I like Sundays more. That doesn't seem to happen, but I wonder how much the NIL, the transfer portal, the way people are getting annoyed with college football, do they just continue to watch, or do they start liking their Sunday team more than they like their Saturday team? It's the Diamond District Bonus Hour. We finish it up with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was a day when and what's on tap. That's all next on Miller and Moulton.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill
I just discovered this thing on StreamYard where that says you show display names, which I turn off when we're both in the same room because it just puts my name on both when I do the camera like this.
Okay.
So there's a thing underneath that says show headlines, and you can put something underneath it. So I may really F with Moulton because I just put co-host under mine. Co-host, 2-time Emmy winner under his is coming.
That's great.
And he'll have no idea how to change it.
No. And he'll notice it right away, too.
For Michael, for the time being, I'm going to be the new guy or gal. We're streamlining for the next little bit here to figure out what our next move is.
So not only would it be Kyrie playing against Boston, it could be Porzingis playing against Dallas.
Right.
I didn't even realize that. And I know nobody cares. I'm just spraying it up.
Yes, he is, Dratharian. Starting in the fall. Or in August, probably, would be a safer bet.
The sooner the better. I'm going to miss this a lot. For real. Thank you. So is tomorrow last day of school?
Yeah. Early release the next 2 days, though. Why would you?
Today and tomorrow?
Oh, yeah.
So what, noon-ish?
Yeah.
Okay.
But because they can count it, and I know we've got teachers in here, they're probably going, but they count that as a full day. Because it's not really a half day. It's an early dismissal. So it still gets them into whatever number of days they've got to get.
Right.
It's not like they're doing anything anyhow right now. I've joked with my daughter. Yeah. They had their big test a couple weeks ago. I'm like, so your year's over.
Yep. Done. Then at that point, you're just having fun with your friends before summer hits. And you won't see them every day.
Well, and she's going to a new school next year, so.
Oh, really? Nice.
We're going the private route next year.
Okay.
We were planning on doing it for middle school, and we ran into the assistant principal of the school she's going to at a Mighty Muscles game, and she just said, everybody tries to get in for middle school. You might want to try to get in for 5th grade. And I'm like, okay.
Is middle school here 6th, 7th, 8th?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do some AI with Trent's voice. I mean, we've got that type of budget. And 2 really smart technological guys that'll be doing it. The play of the day is going away, for crying out loud, because I don't want to learn how to do it.
It'll now be the starting 5 presented by Molly Maid.
It might be.
Or one of your segments here at the end.
Exactly.
Here we go.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Miller and Moulton, final segment for the day. Thanks so much for listening, wherever you may be listening. Jacksonville, Southwest Florida for the Diamond District bonus hour. If you're catching us on Twitch or YouTube for that matter and watching the show, taking it in via video or on one of the many apps that you can listen to Miller and Moulton, we thank you so much for doing so as we start to wind things down.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
1431 we start today. Joan of Arc is burned at the stake. Of all the ways to go, that's got to be at the top of the list of ways you don't want to go. Of all the ways that we've executed people burned at the stake. It's either burned at the stake or drawn and quartered. One of those two seems to be, maybe getting stoned also wouldn't be, there's a lot of them that they did, but burned at the stake.
Growing up in middle school, we had this class discussion one time. I don't know who started it, but it was, would you rather drown, burn, or freeze to death? One girl said burn, and we all looked at her like, what's wrong with you?
Ooh, drowning. I'm not a big fan of it. There's
no good
I just want to be on this side of the dirt.
Yeah.
First Indy 500 was run today in 1911. Ray Haroon was your winner. Pretty sure David interviewed him after the race. 1927, Walter Johnson recorded his 110th shutout.
Nice.
Right.
110.
110 shutouts. It's amazing.
It's about as many majors as Ron Sirek has covered.
There you go. Ruth's last at bat was with the Boston Braves was today in 1935. Love Me Do was the number one song in the land today in 1964. Edmonton goes back-to-back, beating Philadelphia in 5 today in 1985. And today in 2003, Finding Nemo premieres.
Great movie. That was a formative movie for my generation.
Absolutely. You and my son are basically the same age. I do remember I took him to the movie theater to see it. And there were like 2 or 3 adult jokes.
Yeah.
In that movie.
Yep.
And I remember laughing and him looking at me going, "Why are you laughing, Dad?" And I'm like, "There's a day you'll get this."
Over his head.
Bob Evans, as in, Bob Evans Breakfast, and Gail Sayers, both born today. PJ Carlissimo is 75. Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine and others is 60. So is Winona Judd. Billy Donovan is 59, and Manny Ramirez is 52. This is normally where I'd ask David what I missed, but I'm telling you, as much looking as I did, I didn't miss anything today. Today was a pretty boring day.
Unless there was some kind of, tragic thing that happened.
Well, it's a dadgum good point.
That's usually what David comes with.
I know where he gets his information. So before I let you.
Mark goes, "What did I miss, David?" And it's always, well, this president got a.
Well, I guess the Civil War dead were honored on Decoration Day for the first time. Decoration Day, which became Memorial Day today in 1868. And the other one I left for him, and I didn't know he was leaving, is future President Andrew Jackson kills Charles Dickinson in a duel. So if you were ever to ask Andrew Jackson, did you kill a guy? The answer would be yes.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We go to Suffolk, Virginia for the good, where Ulysses Whitfield is retiring at the age of 85. Since the mid-'80s, he's only taken 2 half days off and no full days since then. He started the job at 15. He was a school bus driver for 70 years. He said during that time, students could drive.
Wow.
You got to like a guy who started driving the school bus to school when he was going to school and was still driving it at the age of 85.
And his name is Ulysses?
Yes.
Unbelievable guy. Got to be a great guy.
For the bad, we go to California, where a video recorded in the Canyon Crest area of Monrovia shows a bear breaking into a home through a window and exiting with only one thing, a package of Oreos.
That's my kind of bear right there. Double stuff?
From the looks of the bag, they are not double stuffed, but they look to be original,
Okay.
which I think are better than double stuffed. More cookie, less that stuffing, that cream is
That
just
over-processed cream. You're
Yeah.
just not, I mean, it's good, but you don't want too much of it as well.
There you go.
You don't want double.
Bear did not take anything else other than the Oreos. Windows broken. Finally, the ugly. We go to Cape Coral, where Joseph Paulson was walking around the Walmart parking lot looking for open doors. Finally found a truck with open doors, and the truck was running because the owner had just gotten out to lock his trailer attached to the back when he attempted to steal the man's truck. A witness was yelling to the owner, "I think he's going to steal your car." He drove it a few feet away before the owner got to the car door and pulled him out of the driver's seat. Apparently, the truck had a safety feature that stopped the vehicle once the door was open. Police were called, and he was arrested for vehicle theft. That is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, May the 30th, 2024.
Well, we got playoff action tonight.
We got a little bit of hockey. Rangers and Panthers. Panthers are a favorite on the road, minus 125. Series tied 2 apiece. 8 o'clock face-off on ESPN. And then on TNT, and you might as well get there early because there aren't many more of these inside the NBAs left. And read an article today where apparently Barkley did another interview, and the woman who conducted the interview did not go through the proper TNT public relations channels. And both Kenny Smith and Ernie Johnston apparently gave her a tongue lashing. We're not at all happy about it. And Chuck basically looked at Kenny and said, "I can talk to whoever the hell I want." So there is, when his interview on Dan Patrick, when he said morale sucked,
Yeah,
it sucks.
I believe it. And they say that they're going to have all of next season because contractually they do, but who knows if that's going to be. I mean, this crew as currently constituted might not do the whole season together.
T-Wolves are a 4.5-point favorite. I don't know if I would probably bet the money line if I were to bet the T-Wolves tonight. I don't know if I could. The games have all been close.
Yeah, they have. And the Timberwolves have not been good at home. So this line to me, I think it's out of respect for Edwards and Gobert, the defensive player of the year. They think they're going to stave off elimination.
Well, they put Edwards on Doncic, which
Yeah.
changed a little bit defensively. We'll see how they run the game from that standpoint tonight. But I don't care what they do defensively. If Cat and Ant aren't somewhere around
If they're not
60,
Cat and Ant.
you know,
Yeah.
I mean, they've got to be what, 55, 60 points
Yeah.
between the two of them?
Yep. I would say 60 is the number. If they both score at least 30, T-Wolves looking good.
Oh, if they both score 30, T-Wolves win. But if they're at 50, I think they've got to get to around 55 between the two of them, because you know that Kyrie and Luka are going to put points up.
And if you like the Mavericks, Mavs money line is boosted on the Hard Rock app up to plus 200. That's pretty good value for a team that's up 3-1 in this series against a team in the Timberwolves that has not been great at home in these playoffs.
They have not, and that is the scary part if you're betting the T-Wolves. Have been lousy at home throughout the playoffs. Remember, they went up 2-0 on Denver before that series was even back up. So it has been for as good as they have played, it is going to be an interesting game to see if they can just get it going at home tonight. And by the way, if Rudy Gobert gets the ball, I might just, without letting him drive the lane and dunk, I would let him shoot every time. I would challenge him to shoot. I would double team other players, forcing the ball to him.
Yeah.
Because he still thinks he can play offense.
Yeah, he does. Give him the old Dylan Brooks treatment. Just back off, let him shoot. And that's 9 times out of 10, it's going to be an empty possession. Who takes a 3-2 lead tonight? Panthers?
I think the
Rangers?
Panthers are going to win 3 straight and win the series. I think David, his nightmare is upon him. And he's known it, and he's obviously said it on air that he thinks the Panthers are going to win the series, but he bought tickets to Game 6. I think he's going to see a handshake line. I think Florida wins tonight. I think they win Game 6, and I think they go to the Stanley Cup Finals again. I really do. They have been playing so much better than the Rangers. Shesterkin is the X factor. He has been brilliant in goal for the Rangers. They got a power play goal in the last game. It wasn't enough because Florida's special teams have been both sides. Their power play's been very good. Their penalty killing in this series and throughout the playoffs has been outstanding. I like the Panthers tonight.
And Bob is Bob.
Well,
maybe,
and he can, Bob can give up Bob can be shaky at times, but he's been.
But in these last 3 games, I think he's going to give you one where he's just unbelievable.
And I think that's tonight.
Okay.
I think that's tonight. I think this is a 2-1, maybe 3-1 with an empty netter type of game.
Rock fight.
Well, we'll see. They've both been getting chances. And, goalies have been tremendous in this series. So we'll see how that works out tonight with the Rangers and the Panthers in Game 5 at the Garden.
I will say this is the time in the year where I get sad as a sports fan because you go from all that great stuff. You got 3-4 playoff games a night between the NBA and NHL, and now it's 1 or 2.
Right.
2 tops.
Now it's 2 tops because we're going to get, particularly if Dallas takes care of business tonight.
Yeah.
And then we're every other night until hockey ends.
Yep.
And I think if there's a 7-game series, I think it's more likely in the Edmonton-Dallas series. But I think Florida's going to win it in 6. But boy, oh boy, tonight's game, the Rangers know how important it is.
Yeah, I'm tuning in for that reason. I mean, it's going to be fireworks, but you're that high on the Panthers, huh? You think they're going to win? They're going to rip off 3
They've
straight here.
outplayed them in every game.
They have, and the Rangers, but there's something to be said about the team that finds a way to win. And that's what the Rangers have been. And if they bounce back tonight, and if they go up 3-2, you think they win the series? Will you change your tune? Or do you think the Panthers come back and win 2 in a row?
No, I won't change my tune. The Panthers are the better team in this series.
Panthers are going to win. Whether it's 6 or 7, they're winning the series.
And as much as the league wants the Rangers, because it's obviously a bigger draw.
Yeah.
Paul Maurice is gold when they put him on. When they interview Paul Maurice, this is as good as his post-game pressers, his bench interviews. He is genuine. He is enjoying it. He's into the moment. He's into the night. He respects the game. He's respectful of the people who are interviewing him. He has been great. We need more of people like that coaching sports who don't take these interviews as a slight on their job. It's a damn game after all. I hate watching, and Pop's an unbelievable coach, but Pop to sit there and try to demean
Reporters.
a sideline reporter.
Yeah.
What is it you're proving?
Yeah, it's makes you seem small. I will say this. As a neutral guy, I'm not a huge hockey guy. I don't have a dog in the race here. How can you not, if you just take a step back, root for the Panthers? They don't have a cup. This group of guys, this core they have, in 10 years, we should look back and, remember them as at least a one-time cup champion. And like you said, Maurice is likable.
And he's never won one.
And he's never won one, and he deserves to have one. He's the type of coach, like I keep saying, in 15, 20 years, when you look back and you tell the story of hockey, this Panthers core should have a cup.
And he's the winningest coach to never win a cup.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot there for Paul Maurice, but they've got to get it done against a Ranger team with Shesterkin, who has been playing at a level as high as anybody in the sport. And that Game 5 tonight at 8:00 on ESPN. Mavs and T-Wolves on TNT. That the series has been close. It's been a joy to watch, but it's been more fun just to see the inside the NBA with the turmoil and the trauma that's going on there, as that show, we now know, goes away after one more year. And, Barkley not seeming to care. So that show is loose right now.
62 years old. I mean, I wouldn't either. He's having fun. He's enjoying his job. If you're going to start piling on all this BS, I'd be the same way.
I'd be done if I was Chuck after
Me
this.
too.
I wouldn't try. I know David's talked about them, if you're NBC, offer and try to get him up. If you don't get Ernie, the show's not going to be the same.
Correct. All 4 of those guys, I don't want to say they're equally important, but they're all equally important to the chemistry of the show.
There you go. 100%. And someone's got to steer the bus. And Ernie knows, someone's got to get in and out that knows those guys and knows how to do it. And he's the glue. At the end of the day,
he's the pro.
Yeah.
Not to say the other guys aren't pros, but they're former players. Ernie is as good of a studio host as there is in any profession, not just sports, any news. I mean, he is cream of the crop.
So I don't know if that can continue without him. And if I was Chuck, I literally would just walk away. Baseball tonight, there's a handful of games, a lot of getaway days today, as we've got just a slight bit of baseball action. The Rays host the A's at 1 o'clock. The Marlins have the day off. Tomorrow, David and I will be back in studio on Trent's last day with the show. Until then, have a great rest of your Thursday. Thanks for listening to Miller and Moulton.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts,
Listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.